Hello you, welcome to Poker Night Live. It's Sunday night and I'm Nick Wealthall and I'm bringing you 4 hours of non-stop, no limit hold'em action from the internet. Real players playing for real cash, always on Poker Night Live, and we get to see all their cards, which is a hoot. Here with me tonight is the massive poker brain and svelte poker body of Mr. James Browning.
Good to see you, Nick. Well, actually, good to see someone, actually.
Yes, you manned the ship alone last night.
We had a one-man show last night. Yes.
Yeah.
It was
taken years off you.
It has. Yeah.
I heard you were a star.
Oh, well, I thought it was quite complimentary, but it was great. It was good fun, and I asked them to send in loads of emails and be the co-presenters, and they responded very, very nicely.
God bless you all. Well, I'm here to cramp your style tonight, so
no, it'll be good.
If it's going badly, obviously I'll jump ship. Guys, it's Sunday night, and I know that this is the ideal way to postpone work, which, don't worry about it, it's tomorrow. Put it out of your mind. Put your feet up and enjoy some poker with us. Do get involved in the show, guys. We are here to help you with your game and to share your poker stories with the nation. It couldn't be easier to get in touch with us tonight, and we'd like you to do so in your hundreds. Here's how you do it. Just text POKER and your question to 84 and all the twos. 84222. What a scary board that would be. Or email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. It's not that scary, actually, I was just trying to be clever. And this is the internet site which you can visit if you like. You can watch us anywhere in the world on that, or you can interact with us and each other on the forums. Now, we've got the usual mix tonight of cash games, single table tournaments, and of course a multi-table tournament, rebuy tournament tonight, a little bit different. We'll dip into that throughout the night and then see the final table later on. Let's see what games we've got right now, James, shall we?
Okay, let me show you round. And it's a cash game. It's 25 cent, 50 cent. Maximum buy-in $50. And here is the long structure. It's a $20 tournament, and they get 2,000 chips to start with, and the blinds go up every 12 hands as opposed to 10. And this is a $5 sit and go. And oh yes, some interesting names here. Especially seat one,
yes,
I think.
One's in Welsh. Oh, that's not what you meant.
Oh, it is, isn't it? What's it mean?
Oh, we've had it so many times.
Oh, I didn't. Not when I've been on.
Oh, really?
Okay.
We'll find out for you again. Something
okay.
about the night or something.
Oh, okay, yes. And there's a multi-table tournament here. This is it. It's rebuys and an add-on. And I'll tell you what, last night it actually raised quite a bit of money last night. I think first prize walked away with over $500 for a $10 tournament.
For a $10 tournament?
Not
bad,
bad,
isn't it? These internet tournaments are crazy.
Crazy, crazy. Actually, funny enough, they weren't as crazy as you think, though. What would you?
These internet tournaments are normal.
Are normal? Actually, well, what do you think the rebuys would be? Actually,
what
average or average average expenditure for a player?
$35.
Yeah, $18.
I was wrong.
80 cents. Or something like that.
I was wrong to the tune of 2. I told you about my poker today, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
6 hours work.
Yeah.
I returned a magnificent $8.25 profit.
Wow.
Oh yeah. At least I didn't lose.
Did you withdraw it, or are you just leaving it in there?
I'm cogitating, Jay. I don't know whether to splash out on something or. Hey, I was stuck by several hundred at one point, so I was relieved.
Why not enter a $5 sit and go and just spend the rest?
It's the perfect solution, isn't it? Let's go crazy. Guys, do get involved tonight. We're going to have lots of fun tonight, and we're going to do a lot of hardcore poker chat. Oh, James is. I'm going to read your emails. But do get involved. You know that's why we're here. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Start writing now. Give yourself the best chance to get yours read out on telly. We're going to go straight over to our multi-table tournament to get things rocky and rolling on this Sunday night. Let's have a look.
And here it is. Level 1. Blinds are 10-20, and they started with 1,500 chips. But this is still the rebuy period, so therefore if they lose their chips, they have the option to rebuy. So it'll cost them, actually the tournament will cost them $11 to enter, which is 10 plus 1, but they're not paying for anything on the rebuy, I don't believe.
Okay.
I think they just pay the $10 for the rebuy.
And I can also add on?
Yes, they have the option for an add-on, which means at the end of the rebuy period, they can actually add on, however many chips they've got. But
Here's a typical rebuy period hand for you.
yes, it is. We've got a family pot.
Opening raise, everyone wants to play.
And let's have a look at the sort of hands I played with. Ace-Jack suited, fair enough. Ace suited, again, fair enough. It can win a multi-way pot. In fact, they've all picked sort of reasonable hands which can have success multi-way, to tell the truth. 9-10 even.
Mm-hmm.
Prefer it probably be suited. Not in this case, there's hearts there anyway, but generally. But yeah, they've picked hands which can actually win a multi-way pot. So I'm not going to, I think it's fine.
Was it a rebuy tournament last night? It was, you said?
It was, yeah.
It was, right. I was going to ask you about rebuy periods, but I fear we may be treading on last night's toes. Did you talk
I
about
didn't
that?
ask myself a lot about the rebuy period last night.
Well, I'm worried now that you were just easy on yourself all night. Did you
No, I didn't. I was
ask
quite
yourself
tough.
any-
I made myself, showed myself around the tables and everything.
You're a stickler, aren't you? I'd have just given myself the night off. I'd have talked about football.
I think you
probably.
did.
Don't cast aspersion. It wasn't me that didn't show.
It wasn't you, Nick. Of course it wasn't.
I'm a conscientious young man.
Yes. Well, objector. Oh no, the young man. Yes.
I'm not even young, am I? Who am I trying to fool? So rebuy periods. Now, some people play these in a very cavalier way. Some of them because it's fun. Others of them because it's a conscious decision to go out and try and play a lot of hands and aim to come out of the rebuy period with a lot of chips. Is there any merit in that strategy, James?
Well, I think there is a merit to try and get chips early on, because a lot of the times in our tournaments, especially if we're playing a freeze out, we're stuck with the fact that we only have this one tournament life. And this actually sort of hampers our decisions along the way. And also, how many chips we have also hampers our decisions along the way, because if we haven't got enough play, then there's certain sort of hands we can't participate in. We can't be playing drawing hands, particularly if we don't have too many chips.
Yeah.
Now, in the rebuy tournament, for a start, this is the first level, so it's 10-20. So even with 1,500, you've got quite a lot of play anyway. Plus, you have an extra life or lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can afford to dip your toe in the water to try and hit this really juicy hand, or to come up against someone who wants to overplay one pair or something against your straight.
And how much do you vary your game? Like, say, for example, you're in a situation where, it's a completely hypothetical situation, you think it's probably a 50-50 shot of some kind before the flop or on the flop, something like that. Normally you would fold because you don't want to risk your tournament. Then presumably you're...
Right, actually there's a technical thing you're doing. What you're doing is you're looking at, and this is a new way of looking at it, you're looking at the implied value of winning that pot.
Oh, that's what we're after, yes.
So
That's what I'm interested in.
Yes,
James.
so therefore you're in this one, which is like a bit of a coin flip, but now you're looking at the sides of the flop and you say, well, hang on, this is actually going to put me in really great shape.
Yeah.
And from here, and looking at the rest of the field, or looking at the table I'm at, if I could have chips against this table, I really think I could do well. Now that you've got the implied value of winning that pot, and this can actually help your decision. But we are looking to try and get in one of these. A family pot is something I'll be trying to get in the early stage of rebuy. I'd like to get in there cheaply. I mean, my aim is, if I could have my own way, I'd like to somehow just be able to sneak into a pot with lots of people and make a monster hand, and somehow keep them all interested in playing. I mean, that's obviously the dream.
Yeah.
But it's not such a dream, because that should be sort of one of the things we're aiming to do. That's one of our targets in a rebuy period. However, I will not just push regardless with any old cards, because I don't want to sort of hamper myself with the fact that I've had 10 buy-ins or something, because this is in the long term, this is useless.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, if you're playing rebuy tournaments, I've played a lot of rebuy tournaments, if you're playing them, you should actually monitor what your average number of rebuys is, and add-ons, etc., etc. So even when we come to the add-ons, I will only have the add-on if it increases my stack by at least a third. So therefore, if I've got 6,000 chips and the buy-in is 2,000, I'm on the cusp, and I can just have the add-on. In fact, I look around to see how it does at my table, would it be useful, etc., etc. And I'll probably have it. Now, below that, I'd have to have some other criteria to make me have the add-on. But generally, that would be my cut-off period. If I've got more than that, I'll say, no, I'm not having the add-on.
So there's a good rule of thumb for you guys, 33%, a third increase you're looking for on the add-on.
At least that. I mean,
At least that.
and obviously, now when you're in a situation where you've only, say, got your 2,000, and now it's add-on period and you're getting 2,000, well, this is a 100% increase. This is absolutely, categorically correct to have the add-on. In fact, it's a blunder not to have the add-on, because this is going to help you a great deal. You're getting good value for your add-on here, and especially if you are a capable player.
So rebuy tournaments, guys, what do we all think? Anybody out there had a lot of success in them? Anyone out there struggling with them? poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email address. I still haven't played many rebuys since we talked about them before.
Actually, well, maybe on your next visit up to Newcastle, you'll have to.
Oh, definitely.
You'll have to stay for quite a few days and play all the tournaments. And there's quite a lot of rebuys then.
Well, I think I'm going to be doing that in August. Actually, I'm going to probably have a.
All right. I mean, you can have a great week of poker in Newcastle and great value.
Yeah.
4 casinos, all buzzing. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Well,
this is more like it.
Look at this.
9-4 and.
But how many
King
people in the pot?
6 and lots of them.
Yeah, 6 people in there. 3, 4, 3. Anyone got a 3? Nope. But 2 pairs, 5s and 3s. Oh, what a lovely turn. Full house to on tilt. If you could represent that he was on tilt, it would be good. I think it'll be difficult. There we go. I'm on tilt.
He gets a little bit of action.
But doesn't get paid on the river.
Doesn't get paid. Well, that's a big raise with kings in a rebuy period, isn't it?
It is, and
we'd want to take a little bit more of a chance than that,
definitely.
wouldn't we?
In fact, you see, actually, it's a good point you've just brought up.
Yeah.
Fine in a rebuy tournament. If they're going to be nervous about and passing raises, if it's a crazy one where they're going to be calling, fine, just crank it up there. Don't worry about it.
I'd be much more willing to take a chance limping or small raise with aces or kings.
Nothing wrong with limping. In fact, I would personally be playing big pairs, looking to re-raise, not raise with them.
Yeah.
In fact, that would be the difference in a rebuy tournament. I can go through the whole rebuy period sometimes, even without putting a raise in. I'll look to put re-raises in, without putting a raise in.
And just explain why for everybody.
Because now I want to get in pots where I can really know where I am with people, try to hit this big hand, and then hopefully come up against people who aren't so good, who are going to just play sort of like normal poker, thinking, oh, he didn't raise, he can't be that strong, I've got my big pair, and I've got 2 random pair, or I've made a straight.
So really, because you've got that safety net of being able to rebuy, you're much more willing to take a chance, you're much more willing to try and maybe slow play a little bit more, maybe trap a little bit more, because you're after people's chips, they're more likely to commit their chips, and you don't mind so much if you get a good hand cracked. It's just one of those things.
It's just one of those things, because you can be born again.
Whereas in a freeze out or after the rebuy period, you're much more likely to try and shut down the hand because you can't
afford to do it because you've only got 1 life and you can't afford to say, oh well, listen, I just steadily keep on going along here. But here you're looking for some fluctuations. You're looking to get a big hit, win a 4-way pot. Yes, thank you very much.
Guys at home, I would like their emails on rebuy periods. poker@pokerlive.co.uk. I would like to know your experience of them, and if you've got any tips for everybody else, or any questions, or if you're struggling. As I've said before on the show, it's always been one of the weaker elements of my poker game throughout my career, rebuy periods. Not that I haven't had some success in rebuy tournaments, but definitely compared to other elements of my game, I've never quite adapted my style to a rebuy period as well as I'd have wanted to.
Yeah,
so do get in touch, guys.
When you've got your stack, but it's now gone down to less chips, and you haven't taken the rebuy yet, now, of course, it's no point playing pots with huge implied odds because you're not going to be rewarded enough for it.
Right.
So now when you're down to that smaller stack, Now you play this more aggressively, maybe with a big pair to end up heads up with a big pair, because that's a way you can suddenly build this stack up again in a more classical poker encounter.
Good.
So always be aware of the size of your stack, because this is going to affect your strategy all the time.
Great stuff. We've got an emergency email, James.
Oh my good,
This
quick.
is the ultimate in interactivity.
Help.
It's not the ultimate in interactivity. You wrote this about 20 minutes ago. Phil has emailed in and says he needs help now, live, James.
Right.
He played a $3 satellite the other day and qualified for a seat in a $1 million tournament. Congratulations, Phil. In the first level, he's made 4 times the starting stack after hitting 2 sets on the flop and 2 pocket aces, getting doubled up on each one. And it's his first multi-table tournament with a buy-in of more than $10.
Oh,
so he's suddenly inherited a massive stack, which is lovely, but he's feeling out of his depth. How does he play his big stack? I hope you still got it, Phil, because obviously you have, well, we're not done too bad, about 15 minutes ago.
Well, the thing is, they don't know you haven't played a multi-table tournament before, so that's one thing. So don't worry about it and don't think about that. Just think about the problem in hand.
Unless his screen name's Phil, in which case he's been totally rumbled. Sorry, carry on. Yeah. They don't know it, that's important.
And it's got a biography, first time in this. Yes, that's no good either. Forget about that. They don't know who you are, Phil. There's a few Phils out there, and this is a big tournament. So don't worry about that. Just worry about the case in hand. You've got off to a flying start. Now, people are going to be more worried about you than you should be worried about them, because you have been rewarded with extra lives. You've become a cat with 9 lives. So now you can start asking questions where the person with 1 life doesn't want to answer that question. So therefore, as long as you don't suddenly start to slip down too much, use this newfound strength by picking your situations where you think someone with 1 life probably wouldn't want to tangle, basically. So don't just sit there and bask in your glory with this big stack. Use it in the right situations.
Good. I hope it gets even bigger, Phil. And I hope you write us another email in 2 hours and tell you you've quadrupled again. Keep us in touch. Do let us know how you're getting on, Phil. And of course, everybody do get involved with the show tonight. That is why we're here. The content of this show has been and always will be dictated by you guys. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever you need help with, that's why we're here. And it's very, very easy to get in touch. You can text us by texting the word poker. Say on a mobile phone, for example, your question, and send it to 84222. Or if you've got an internet-ready device like a computer or a handheld WAP-enabled system, simply email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. You can also go to the website. There it is. And we've got forums there where you can interact, but you're not allowed to do that till the show's finished. That's not actually technically true. That's just a rule I've made.
No, we both.
Well, if they've got something to say, say it to us. God
exactly.
It's Sunday night. We're going to have lots of fun tonight, guys. I know you're going to be with us through to the wee hours. We're here till 2 o'clock, and we're going to show you a bit of cash now to change things around. Multi-table will go on in the background. We'll dip in from time to time. We will show you as much of the final table as possible.
And here is a cash game, the 25-cent $50. And Jumbo, big slick under the... Oh, 25-cent, 50 cent. I think it's $50 there, didn't I? My goodness. That'd be a funny blind structure, wouldn't it?
Not much incentive to play out the small blind.
Yeah, making up the small blind would be rare. Big Slick has made it $2 under the gun. And we can't see much opposition out there for him, I don't think. Dead man. Nope. Wins the blinds. Disappointing.
Now, I'd like to talk a little bit, James, with you about bankroll.
Seems to be topic of the week.
Oh, really? When did we talk about this before?
No, it's been mentioned quite a bit recently.
Has it?
Yes.
Very interesting. What's been said?
Well, no, I mean, it's just people have been questioning about bankroll quite a lot. I mean, I seem to have caused... put the fear of God in people a little bit, because I
think they need it.
Well, I've stated I have sort of high levels that you need for a game. So I say for a game, for a no limit cash game, I believe you should have 40 times the maximum buy-in. That is what I think you need.
See, I 100%, more than 100%, I 800% agree with you.
Oh, good.
I think...
Because someone quoted, so-and-so and so-and-so said, oh, no, you only need so much or something. I said, well, I'd prefer to be err on the side of caution with it. Because
the two figures that I keep hearing are 10 buy-ins and 20 buy-ins. Those are the two figures that I keep hearing, especially 20 buy-ins. I don't think it's enough, and I think people are playing, in general, people play way too high, and then they wonder why they go broke, and they say, you know, what am I doing wrong? Well, probably the first thing you're doing wrong is you're playing too high. You have to understand the variance in this game. If you're going to play no-limit hold'em, the variance is massive. You know, if somebody moves in on you with a flush draw and you're sitting there with top pair, you should call. Yeah. You know, you're the favourite. But they can hit their flush, and will do 30% of the time, and you're broke. Now, you have to make that call, and you have to be able to soak up those swings.
You've got to be able to dust yourself off and just get back up there again.
It has to be inconsequential that they've hit that. And if it isn't inconsequential, if it has an effect on your bankroll, you are playing too high.
Oh, so you're in agreement. That's great.
I am in agreement. I would say 40 or 50 buy-ins is what you need.
Well, I think 40 is fine, and with this bankroll of 40 times the maximum buy-in, you can multi-table with it.
Yeah.
Because basically, your bankroll is flexible enough to do this, and actually, this actually, in a way, should make playing feel a little bit better for you, because you could get unlucky. Say, if you're playing 4 tables, you could get unlucky on all 4 tables. Of course you could, but that's unlikely. It's more likely that you get lucky on here, unlucky there, nothing on there, etc., etc.
I couldn't agree more. It helps enormously. It really, when you have that unlucky hand, which you'll have at some point in an evening or whatever, it completely dilutes the effect of it. If you're playing 3 or 4 tables.
And the way we could think about that is, supposing the example that Nick gave, where you've got top pair and the guy's got a flush draw, and he's going to make his flush 35. He's got 2 cards to come. He's going to make his flush 35% of the time. Right. If you say, well, we'll just run this through once, and you lose, it's ouch. That really hurts. But if we said to you, I'll tell you what, we'll have this situation. I mean, you have got the best of it, and the guy actually, you gave him the wrong price to call for his flush. He's not getting paid enough. But if we said, well, what we'll do is we'll run it through 1,000 times. Well, this wouldn't be ouch, because you know you'd win, you'd lose, you'd win, and it would feel far smoother. And at the end of the day, it wouldn't necessarily end up exactly the result, because it's not a big enough trial. But it's obviously so much more likely to end up nearer the correct result, because a trial of 1 can never be the correct result.
Yeah.
It's too extreme. It's either one or the other wins. So, or possibly a split pot, but one or the other wins. So this can never give you the right result. So in a way, when we think about our multi-tabling, it's not 1,000 hands, but at least every time you increase situations, it should tend to cut down the fluctuations if you are playing well, if you are a winning player.
Bear in mind, guys, this isn't doing anything clever statistically. It's just for your emotional well-being, isn't it?
Yes, but I think it'll help you in a way, although maybe you lose, you're not perhaps playing 100% at every table, but in a way, if you can handle it, it'll be good for your state of mind, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it definitely helps your state of mind. But
But if you're not ready to do that, for goodness sake, don't do it, because if you're not used to it, your standard of play could drop dramatically. And you could drop enough that you could go from being a winning player to a losing player. If you kept on making mistakes, it would be no good, because you have to look at the sort of mistakes you make. If all of a sudden you pass a winning hand or something, this is a huge error, and this has cost you so much money per hour, this play. So you've got to be careful that you can actually handle it.
Yeah, we're talking conceptually, aren't we?
And the other thing is, if you aren't good enough to win at the game, it isn't going to help you either, because in fact what it's going to do by playing more tables there is actually worse, because it's going to cut out the fluctuations of you winning. Because if you're a losing player and you play, the more tables you play, the more likely it is you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Because if you're a bad player, you should just play 1 table, because you might just get lucky, basically.
Yeah.
So if you're a losing player, you just want to play 1 table. If you're capable of winning, then it'll probably help you to play the more tables.
Yeah, definitely.
But that overall thought process is good for us in poker. That's what we've got to all the time. We know it, but we've still got to remind ourselves about looking at over the long distance, looking over the course of 1,000 times this hand's played. Because people tend to fall too much in love with the result on the day, or the result of one hand, or, oh, I shouldn't have played it that way because look at that, he's made a flush. Well, hang on, who are you? How could you didn't know that? You're just using what's happened. We become overreactionary to what's happened, but we mustn't. We've got to just think of things in the long distance. I know that's not fresh news, but we tend to forget it. Because I hear people with their problems, and they tend to forget this. But this is a paramount importance. And if we get that really in our heads, it will really help us.
I think it's just people find it very difficult to appreciate the swings that are involved in the game, and that they can be quite extreme, and that it can be very difficult to know if you're playing badly or if you're going through a losing swing statistically, and vice versa. You know, so many people come into the game and do well in their first few games and, you know, hit a few cards, and that can actually last for several months.
Of course.
And then, you know, that is a recipe for disaster. It's actually worse to win in a freakish manner because it completely changes your expectations. Then you start playing too high.
Also, what happens is with these sort of runs to start with, it's because a player maybe he's a one-trick pony, and maybe he's got this one move he makes, which when nobody knows him, it works. Yeah. But eventually, people say, "Oh, hang on! Every time he does that, he's got this." Ah, I wondered what he was doing. Well, of course, now this isn't going to work anymore.
Right.
Because it suddenly goes around the poker network, and people suddenly have worked the guy out. Oh, he always looks for a check raise, or he always does this, or he always bluffs if he misses, etc., etc. So to start with, whenever someone goes into a game fresh, it's probably their best chance to win, really, because it's before people really know them.
Yeah. So we're saying that for this $50 maximum buy-in, to play in this game over the long term, you'd want a couple of $1,000 in your account.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee the amount of people with $2,000 in their account that would play in a $50 game would be very, very small.
It is. Now, you don't actually have to have it there, though, however, so don't worry about that. But you have to be prepared. That's what you're playing to.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't make any judgment on your game, basically, whenever the results are anywhere within that bankroll.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can say, okay, well, this week I'll play, but I'm going to allocate $100. If it goes, I'm going to stop, or whatever. Fair enough. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you be aware that to give the game the true chance, to give you the true chance, basically, you should be allocating that amount of money to that game to get a true read on how you're doing. And also, this is the level we look at for when we're moving up to the next game. So when we look up to the next game, we say, what's the size of the blinds?
Let's say...
What's the bankroll I need?
Let's say 50 cent, $1.
Well, 4,000.
Looking for 4,000.
So...
And these, you know, when you said at the start of this little chat,
yes.
You put the fear of God into some people. Some of the viewers have said
no,
that that's too conservative?
I've even had, I think, some presenters or sort of...
Which ones?
I can't remember
the
now.
usual suspects, is it?
Questioning...
Is it Berry?
No. But I think it's. There's no harm in setting that amount. It's worse to set too low a bankroll than have too big a one. That's for sure.
Yeah. It does. It's one of the things that troubles me. I've seen it sort of playing live cash a bit this year. There's people playing games where you're sitting down with £300 or £400, and you know, just from the way they're talking, the way they're reacting to hands, and you know, sometimes specifically what they say, you just know they don't have the money to cover the swings they're going to endure, and they get incredibly upset when there's a bad beat against them or when they have an unlucky hand, because it has such a big effect on their overall financial position.
Yes. And
that's the problem, guys. You know, that's why you just have to look at, as James completely rightly says, you have to look at poker in such a bigger context than I know many of you do. It's, you know, a game where, in order to be profitable in the long term, you need to be putting a small amount of your overall investment, your bankroll, at risk at any one time, and looking to make a small profit on that, accepting that you may make a loss on that, but that you won't make an overall loss. But the amount of people that think about poker in that way and invest their money in that way, because if you want to make money at poker in the long run, if you're playing for fun, totally different. If you're playing for fun, play with whatever you can comfortably afford to lose, that's fine. But if you're looking at poker as a business and you're looking to make money over the long term, then that's how you must see the game. And it's like any business. A good business does not put a lot of its assets or a lot of its equity into any one project. It spreads its risk. Any good trader will spread his risk.
I think the problem is with poker is it's a bit like when there's your favourite ice cream. And I think with poker...
Pralines and cream, my friend.
Okay, well imagine there's bowls of it out there.
Yeah.
You're licking your lips and you can handle loads of it. And I think with poker, people's eyes are bigger than their stomach.
Sure.
And so therefore, when they say, how much do you want to win? They'd say an amount which is totally out of proportion to the game that they're playing in.
Yeah.
Or if they try to get them out, now they realise they've got to go to a size game which is well above their bankroll to win. You've got to realise that it's just... we
Shall I tell you the other problem,
yeah.
actually? The other problem is that bankroll can be tremendously frustrating because there are a decent amount of players who have the game to play higher than their bankroll. So there are a number of players that could survive in a 2-4 no limit game, but actually have the bankroll for a 25, 50 cent game. And so it's totally understandable. People want to play in a game which is up to their abilities, but you can be the best player in the world. Variance will eat you alive if you don't have the money to cover it.
That's the problem. It's possible you could go to that game straight away and just get fortunate that night and then just carry on, and from then on eventually keep on winning and then win enough that actually your bankroll becomes the right size. Now that is possible.
Yeah.
But it's not likely.
But you're taking a shot, aren't you? That's the thing.
I've done some... I used to be a consultant with a sports rating firm, and with that did trials, blocks of 5,000 bets where you had 10% advantage.
Yeah.
And we'd run out hundreds and hundreds of these blocks of 5,000 bets, and you'd get some blocks of 5,000 which were a nightmare. You lose a fortune with 10% advantage on every bet.
Right.
Just to show you what can happen. A block of 5,000 bets, every bet with 10%, and you can do your conkers. I mean, that is scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, most of the blocks of 5,000 aren't like that, but you could find the one which was. Well, we don't know. We might be unlucky and we might find that one. And that's why we need the bankroll. That's to explain why we need it.
Yes.
It's because
and the other
all these different results.
The other thing I think that people don't fully understand is that you don't have a particularly big edge over any poker game. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on putting a number on what an edge can be, but it's definitely not as big as people think. I mean, you may know that we had Johnny Chan on the show, James.
Yes.
And Johnny Chan said if he sees a 6-5 game, he handicaps himself before he plays in a game. He recommended people handicap themselves. He said if you see a game with 65 where you think you've got a 6-5 advantage, you should be licking your lips. Yes. You say, yeah, that's for me. You know, I can make money in that game. Now, that's a very small advantage.
Yes.
Actually.
And that's good that you see. And that's basically why I was saying that little analogy about eyes bigger than the stomach.
Yeah.
It's because the wins that people want is out of proportion to the advantage that they've got in the game.
Yeah.
In any game, if you're not, you should be happy with certain hands to win the blinds. So in this game, there's certain hands there. If you win 75 cents, you should be whooping and hollering because that hand isn't worth 75 cents. So you should say, yep, thank you very much. And that's where you've got to have the game. You've got to respect the chips in any game you play. You've got to respect the size. You've got to be aware of what the blind is, the size of the blind, and what it means. You've got to respect it. And that's the only way that we can make good decisions in poker. Because if we don't respect the chips, how on earth can we make close decisions? Because we don't care.
Absolutely.
So you have to respect the chips. And so that we should be playing the sides of the game where we do respect the chips.
Guys, I hope this is helping at home. We haven't commented on any specific hands. I hope you've been enjoying the poker in the background. And if you've got any queries on this, we've already had a couple come through. We'll deal with a few in a minute. On your bankroll, on your level of play, on what game you should be playing in for your bankroll, you can ask us specifically if you like, or in general terms, whatever you like. If you disagree with us, if you think we're being too conservative, I know James is, I'm not. If we're being too conservative, tell us that too. It's your show, remember. Get involved tonight. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email address. Couldn't be simpler. Also, have you played this weekend? Stories of success, stories of woe. That's what this show's all about. More the success, really.
Yes, I don't want to get crying.
Don't want to be depressed.
Yeah.
A lovely sunny weekend. I love British people when the sun comes out for the first time in the year. Literally, it's about 19 degrees and people are walking around in swimsuits and flip-flops in the high street.
Yes.
Take your clothes off, the sun's out. And we also have an absolute fascination. we have a fascination with eating outside. As soon as, do you know what I mean? It's like, because what we're saying is, it's such a nice day we can eat outside. So as soon as it gets above about 16 degrees...
It's not just eating, because I saw this guy with a special brew. He was drinking outside.
Mental.
In the sun.
In the sun. Love it.
Yeah, no, it's true. They like to eat outside. In fact, people like to sort of sit on walls and eat.
That's right. That's the ultimate. We're just like the Med.
Yeah. I'll go and buy me sandwich from M&S and sit on the wall and eat it.
Yeah. And take my shoes off.
Yeah, and I'll put me
for 30 minutes in the
bottle
day.
Of juice on here on the brick and lean back a bit against the tree. Very nice.
Before I have to go back to the office.
I didn't have flip-flops on. I had sandals on.
Did you?
Yeah. No
Equally
socks,
bad.
obviously. No
Equally
socks,
bad.
thank goodness. It's bad having socks and sandals. Can't have that.
No, that's bad.
Yeah, that's very bad. Like to let your feet breathe, doesn't it?
Less said, I think.
438, Marty Doc. He's got an up and down straight. 3, 4, 5,
good
6.
situation for a bet, isn't it?
It's a semi-bluff.
Classic semi-bluff. Check, check.
Yes, it's not quite classic because of the flush draw out there, but so he hasn't got as much semi-bluff as he would like. Now he's got even less now. He doesn't know what's going on. The pair as well, but let's see what he does. There's a problem. There's a scare card on the end for him. He got pushed off it. So that was a problem with the semi-bluff with the flush draw on there.
Well, yeah, but...
Go on.
He didn't fire the second barrel, did he?
No.
Which?
Because it paired up then. He was worried. He didn't know which way. He thought he had to be worried about something. He didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but my motto is find out.
Yes, I think
because
you're right. I think he missed
very often that pairing up of the board is as scary for your opponent.
I think that's right. As it happens, if Infin's got the courage, he probably can win it with that heart coming on the end anyway.
Yeah, I'm saying don't let him get to that point.
Yes, and I think that's good advice. So I think he should have fired 2 bullets with that semi-bluff.
I think if you're going to,
I think with semi-bluff it'd be good not to have the flush draw out there. I think it's quite good to do it with an up and down straight where you've got at least the 8 out. It's nice to have the comfort of, virtually 1 time out of 3 you're going to make your hand. And that makes a better balance for me of the bluff, the semi-bluff. But I agree with Nick. The way he's decided to play it with the 2 hearts on board, no heart comes on the turn. Listen, the guy could well be on a flush draw, so now you've really got to make him pay for it.
Yeah.
And you are representing you've actually got something. That's what you're doing. That's the storyline of this bet. I've got something already.
That's right. I think that's the best way of putting it, isn't it? Because then if you check on the turn, your story's fallen apart, hasn't it? And you're basically saying to the other guy,
I was nicking.
I was
stealing.
Yeah. And you're inviting him to take the pot away from you on the river, I think.
Exactly. So you've got to keep to the storyline. Be committed to the plot.
The other thing is I've found in particularly online cash games, there are a lot of players that will call a bet on the flop but won't call it on the turn.
Yes. In fact, I think it's become quite a common thing that people call more on the flop now. The reason being is that there's more people are doing continuation bets.
Yeah.
So therefore, there's more people calling on flops, and there's more people probably betting out with low flops when there's been a pre-flop raise than before. So those two things have altered a little bit the shape of the online poker. But of course,
Do you know the other thing that
the next, of course, the thing is though, is your point, which they're not so likely to be calling 2 bets in a row because now they really believe you've got it, obviously.
Yeah. The other thing they do is they put you on ace king.
Yes.
When you raise pre-flop, other players will put you on ace king because that's what they'd like you to have, because it means that very often you've missed.
Yeah.
So I think you do have to be quite often. I mean, not always. There are times when you need to adjust in certain games against certain players, but you've got to a lot of the time be prepared to bet the flop and the turn.
What I will do a lot. I play quite a lot of online. Well, actually, last night after the show and a bit today as well. Playing no limit cash games. And what I make sure I'm doing in there is I am varying. I'm not just automatically doing continuation bets. In fact, there'll be different reasons why I won't do it as well. Maybe it'll be because of position or the number of people in the pot, which is good. It'll make me not necessarily do one. And certain times I'll voluntarily not do one. But I will set it up because then I know that next time when I do a bet, they're going to say, "Oh, he's got it this time." And that's so I'm putting a storyline to my continuation bet basically. So then I'm doing a good continuation bet where I say, well, they're going to be more likely to believe this one because they've seen me put down they've seen me not do a continuation bet after raises twice before this.
That kind of thing does depend on whether the players you're playing against are noticing what you're doing, doesn't it?
That is true.
I think at the level we're watching, the 25-cent, 50-cent level, that has a lot less equity, that kind of thinking.
And maybe on the internet it has a bit less equity because I think we mentioned just even when we were chatting before the show, is that on the internet, unless it's a regular crowd of people you're playing with, which with the Poker Night Live crew, a lot of it are quite regular. Unless it's a regular crowd, people don't notice so much because there might be multi-tabling, and it takes them longer to sort of even notice your pattern. I mean, but that is good news for us players because what we can do there is you don't have to worry about having been selective because people mightn't have even noticed that you haven't played a hand for a while. So on the other side of the coin, that's an advantage when people on the internet that people don't notice everything because you can sometimes say, well, I'll play pretty solidly here. They mightn't even notice I haven't played for half an hour. Who knows? But in a live game, they'll definitely notice you haven't played for a long time. They'll be making comments and saying, you know, whoa, whoa, whoa. But, oh, look, he's played a hand, or whatever.
I think one little aside is that if you do find that if you think people are noticing your image one way or the other, one thing that people really do notice online is the chat box. And I think you can use the chat box to your advantage if you need to. So you can say, you know, whatever it is you can say, oh, I can't believe these cards, or you can say, you know, you say whatever you like, can't you?
Yeah.
but the only point I want to make is that people will notice if you write something in the chat box, particularly if there isn't a lot of chat on the table. So that's one way you can manipulate your image. They'll almost notice that sometimes more than they'll notice your actual play. Depends who you're playing against, guys. You know, you'll know your own games as to whether these things will help or not, I think. Just going to watch this last hand, then we'll come back and do a couple of emails.
Golden boy.
It's amazing that I'm playing and watching, isn't it?
It's not golden teeth.
Oh, I'm not a minger on the nick.
I think the hair's good tonight, actually. It's got more natural tonight.
Leave my hair alone.
No, I'm just saying it's good. I've given it high marks.
Thanks. I gave it a 7. I don't do that. I do. We've got a very short email from Mr. X, but it's something we haven't covered about bankroll. He's asked, what about bankroll for fixed limit poker?
300 times a big blind.
It's that simple. So it's much easier to... There's much less conjecture about it, because I think that's actually based on some quite hardcore statistical analysis, isn't it?
Yes.
That your variance is broadly covered.
And the reason why it's easier for this is because you can see, for a start, there's actually a limit to how big a pot could become. Okay, we can have a scenario where they're all capped, but there is basically a limit to how much money you will actually have to put in any one pot. And also, it's easy to work out what the average size of a pot is going to be in a limit game, and what your average expenditure is going to be in a pot in a limit game. And by that, we can work out what your bankroll requirements are. So
300 big bets, so 10, 20 games, $6,000.
Yeah.
And if you lose half of that, you drop down, probably?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes.
Hope that helps if you want to play fixed limit.
Mr. X.
I learnt on fixed limit games all those years ago.
What, no limit, or Texas rather, or?
I started off playing 7-card stud, which I wasn't very good at.
Right.
And then I played Hold'em, which I was good at. So yeah.
I played a lot of limit 7-card stud, believe it or not.
Did you?
In England, in Southsea. Which there's a
That's
game
quite
of
strange,
choice.
isn't it? I've seen very...
They still play it there.
Really? Do they play it in your card room, guys? I've seen very little fixed limit in this country at all.
In Portsmouth, Southsea area, they play fixed limit 7-card stud. That is their game of choice. And it's a great game as well.
Cool. Simon's emailed to say he wants to know if he's ready to play real money games. He's been playing online for 2 weeks. You've entered a couple of free-roll tournaments with an average of 12,500 people in it.
Wow.
And my average place I've come is 10 to 20th place.
What, with 12,500 people in it?
It's better than me.
Seems pretty incredible.
Well done, Simon. Are you ready to play with your own money? We've also asked how you should play small pocket pairs, 8s as low. That's 2 questions for 1 email. That's out of order. Are you ready to play with your own money? Well, it's always a tricky one because it comes down to your comfort level in the final analysis. You're obviously doing quite well in the free rolls, so you probably got the game to have a go. Why not try it? But the usual caveats apply. You've got to have money that you're comfortable losing. You know, let's be sensible about it. Poker is played for money. But I'd definitely try it. I mean, why wouldn't you? You've done well enough at free rolls.
Well, presumably you've made some money in the free rolls coming 10th to 20th anyway, so...
Don't you have to use your own money?
Yeah, exactly.
Use other people's money.
I would keep on playing free rolls as well. Don't just say, oh, I'm above those anymore, because you're not. You just started. So keep on playing the free rolls, but then gradually introduce small stake multi-tournaments, and then just see how you do. And then perhaps you can experiment with the small stake sit and goes as well, because you'll be watching that on Poker Night Live and picking up all the tips. You better play those as well.
Cool, good luck. You don't get your second question answered. Sorry. This is an email from Dead Spiders, who, welcome, Dead Spiders, good evening, hi, Hugh. On the topic of bankroll and respecting your chip, surely we have 2 competing urges here. Bankroll pushes you to low levels. The need to play at level where you respect your chips pushes you to higher levels. Well, it shouldn't. I'd question the premise there. I have the bankroll for 5-10 cent cash, and that's where I play. When I play the blinds with anything better than... When I win the blinds, anything better than rags, I weep. What happens when we find ourselves in this situation? Well, you're going to have to start reframing your view of winning the blinds, I think, Dead Spiders. Listen to Mr. Browning to my left. You're right. When he says that you should be delighted when you win the blinds. That's free money. It's free money. It's clear profit. And in the overall scheme of your play, over the hundreds of hours you're going to play, it is significant, right? You need to.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know how to make him.
I weep if I win the blinds as you would if it's with a major hand, with kings, aces, or queens. Yeah, I'm weeping then, whatever game I'm in. But say if I've got 4-5 offsuit and I raise and they pass and I win the blinds, I say yes. How could that be worth 75 cents if I'm in the? It couldn't be. It's amazing.
Do you know what? I'm never that upset, even with aces or kings, because you've only got one pair. A multitude of things can happen after the flop.
I'm upset because they are worth more. On the long run, they will be worth more than the blinds.
Well, he's made profit with them. You're greedy like you. Guys, thanks for those emails. Keep them coming in. We need lots and lots between now and 2 o'clock. We'll see you in a little bit. Welcome back to Poker Night Live on a Sunday night with me, Nick Wealthall, and my good friend and poker guru, James Browning. I'm saying you are a poker guru.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
James is playing in a one-table tournament right now, and later on we'll replay that tournament for you guys. We'll be able to see all the cards and see how brilliant / incompetent he was. It'll be one of the two. That'll happen in about an hour's time. If you want to watch him play online, of course you can go and do that while you watch us here. He'll continue to chat. So you've now proved that you can chat and play last night.
Yeah, but I can't chat on here.
That's true. You've been barred for breaking the
Disabled.
rules. If you are online with James and you're trying to chat to him in the chat box, he can't chat back because he is an illegal who has committed heinous crimes, haven't you?
Apparently.
What did you do?
I gave out my email to someone.
Why is that banned?
I don't know, it's just an automatic bing.
You can do that on the sites I play on.
Oh, can you? There you go.
I just don't understand why it's not allowed. Well, it isn't allowed. It's bad, apparently. So James can't chat back, but we'll be seeing his tournament in about an hour. We need lots of texts and emails, guys, especially in this hour, because I'm on my own and don't have a lot to say. Here's a text number. Poker and your question to 84222. Give me a question about anything you like connected to the wonderful game of poker. Whatever your level of play, get in touch, guys. We're here to help you out. Phil, how are you doing with that big stack in the multi-table?
Yeah.
poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email. And there's a website as well, apparently. There's the address for it. And you can watch us wherever you are in the world on that website. It's brilliant. Now, during the break, James and I were looking for Las Vegas hotel and flights. That's actually true, isn't it?
It is true, yeah.
We both have got yearnings to go to the hallowed land. Are you going this year? Have you been this year? I lived out there for a while. Those of you who are new to the show won't know that. I haven't bored with that recently. But I haven't been for 3.5 years, can you believe?
I don't even want to tell you how many years it's since I've been there.
Really?
I was there so much, and then it wasn't for poker so much.
And it's completely changed since James arrived. Well, it's completely changed in the last 2 years. When I was there were only 2 significant card rooms, the Bellagio and the Mirage. There are a few others kind of playing at it. Now, there are big card rooms, talking 20-plus table card rooms in 6 or 7 hotels, so, you know.
And the one which has been tipped that it might suddenly really start to rule the poker
Venetian?
is the Venetian, yeah, well done.
Massive, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's luxurious as well, isn't it, apparently?
Luxury plus poker.
Yeah.
Like my house.
But I don't think the Bellagio will just sit back and let that happen, I don't think. But
No, well, it's going to be interesting. It really is the poker centre of the world again, which it wasn't for a while, I don't think. If you've been recently and you've played poker there, do get in touch. If you're going this year, get in touch if you'd like to get in touch, because we'd love to know. And, of course, any other questions or queries. We're going to go to our $10 sit and go, which I'm going to talk to you about, while James plays poker. They pay you for that as well, James. Amazing, isn't it? I'm so jealous.
now you're fibbing.
I am fibbing. I played poker all afternoon. You said, do you want to play Beat the Presenter? I said, no.
Exactly.
Takia raises with ace-jack. Jespridinos. I can't do accents. Which means something of the night.
Oh, Spirit of the Night, yeah, that's right, I remember now.
Spirit of the night, which is Welsh code for one of those women that comes round to your house. It's not. It's not. We've got a one-table tournament that I'm going to give myself the giggles. At least I'll give somebody the giggles. We've got 1,000 chips per player in exchange for their $10, plus $1 entry fee, which goes to the house of the courtesy of hosting the game. God bless them. And we'll play last man standing here, guys and girls. No limit hold until we've got one player with all the chips. And the last 3 players with chips, top 3 finishers, share out the prize pool. 50% for first, 30% for second, 20% for third. And that means we're looking at a $40 first place payout. And if Jespridinos keeps calling with Jack 2, it won't be going to him. That's my confident prediction. I've got to stop doing the Welsh thing.
Yeah.
What does it sound like? Does it sound like a cross between Indian and Orcish?
I wasn't sure what language it was. That's what I was trying to work out. It sounded like it wasn't Welsh. It was nothing.
Let's just file it under rubbish.
No, it's interesting. I quite liked it. It could have been sort of like a weird version of Klingon or something.
James, it's one of the frustrations of my life, because as you know, I do a little bit of performing as an income, and I can't do accents. I can't do any voices. I'm the man of one voice. Well, Tekai has hit his set on the river, but he can't like it very much. Look at all that filth out there, flushes, straights, all kinds of things. But he's going to venture a bet anyway. And Bono, you too. Good evening, Bono, you too. I met you last week. How are you, sir? Played in our Poker Night live studio final, he did, which you'll be able to see on your screens very soon. I'm told down my ear that it's being edited as I speak.
Wow.
Probably not literally as I speak because it's Sunday night, but you get the concept. And we're going to have another Poker Night Live final in the not too distant future, final competition. Viewers special. I don't know when, but it won't be a million miles from now, guys. So do keep your eyes and ears open and get involved.
We've got something here. It says, Nick's got a BTP phobia.
Do you know, it's true, I never play it. Or I promise I'll play it next time I'm on.
And, oh,
do you know what the problem is?
Yes?
I like the sound of my own voice.
Oh, right. Except when you're doing Welsh accents.
Even then.
Oh, you quite like that?
Even then I think I'm brilliant, yeah. Can't shut up for an hour.
I've got to give the guys it's frustrating not being able to speak to me, but I've got to give them a thank you for the nice comments actually.
All right, you've done it now. Don't give them any more publicity. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk if they want to say something on the show. I'll have none of this getting on the show by the chat box back door. We want your emails, guys. That's what we're in the business of. Well, 9s for everybody, but it's bottom pair, so they can't be that keen. James.
Sorry.
James.
Sorry.
All right.
It was quite funny.
Well, we're doing a television show.
Yes, it's live.
It's live.
Yes.
Let's keep it professional. Let's make it professional. You know, for a change, let's up it. One table tournament you're watching, boys and girls. I'm sure you know that. 8 players fighting for the money, and quite a creative check raise here by our Welsh counterparts. Don't really know how loosey-goosey can call that. I suppose if you're Lucy, in a poker sense, you can. James, where do you want to stay when we go to Vegas?
Well, we'll keep the X's down, I reckon, because we'll be doing more. We'll be out and about more than in the room, really.
That's right. But what if we meet a beautiful woman and we end up taking her back to Tam O'Shanter's Inn?
Probably best to go back to her place, because it'll probably be better than ours.
Good thinking. Good thinking. And you can leave in the morning, so ticks all the boxes. That's the plan. Stay somewhere cheap. Go back to hers. Noted. Noted.
Good tactics.
Tekai with a massive raise of the Queen 8. Thinks he spies a bit of dead money and wants to pick it up. Not the worst idea in the world. Didn't reckon on loosey-goosey in the big blind. She does like to play. So it would seem.
Now you're presuming loosey-goosey's a female?
Well, until I'm given other information. Good continuation bet from Tekai takes it down. Until I'm given information to the contrary, yes I am. Not only that, I'm assuming that she's beautiful. Because that's how I get through these long nights.
Yes.
Did I mention I'm in the market for a beautiful,
yes,
fun, independent, exciting, interesting woman?
You did.
Yeah.
You also mentioned to me you thought you'd found one.
Yeah, that was a rumour. Ace-9, flops top 2 pair. Little slow play from 150872. And exactly what you want to happen when you make that kind of slow play happens. And what's Axion mainly? He must have something to do. The kettle must have boiled. Well, it's basically a bluff, isn't it, with the pair of 7s, but its chances of success after somebody's called and then raised, and then re-raised. 150872 must have something. As it happens, he's got quads, which is nice, isn't it? Quads beating not very much. Axiom Mania on TV, my friend. I'm sorry. Nothing we can do about it now. It's too late. Well, hard to know whether he thought he was bluffing there or whether he just didn't want to play anymore. Either way, the tournament is almost over for him. I think tournament poker, you've got to be aware of, I think the best word for it is resistance. And that is, how much resistance are you in the face of? How likely is it that your moves are going to be called? And different factors affect that, such as how many chips you've got, how many chips your opponent's got, what stage of the tournament you're at, how many players there are in the pot. All of these things, if you're going to bluff, all these things need to be taken into account. Now that move there from Axiom Main, I don't know if he's just playing for fun or messing about, whatever, but let's say it was a serious bluff, for argument's sake, has very little chance of success because two players have already shown willingness to put money in the pot. Not only that, he can only raise by 600 after his opponent's put in 300. Really has very little chance of success. Also reasonably scary board for him with only the bottom pair, so he's not doing it on the cards. So you need to evaluate that. You need to assess, what are my chances of success here? Take into account those factors, based on factors. Make a decision. And what you're trying to do in tournaments when you're accumulating chips, not based on your cards, is obviously if you've got a good hand, you've got a good hand. If you're trying to make chips not based on cards, you're trying to find opportunities where you're not going to find much resistance. So heads-up pots are ideal. You've only got one player to get to fold. Having position on somebody is ideal. A scary board, which is going to be as frightening to them as it is to you. Having a lot more chips than your opponent. These kinds of things are what we're looking for, which diminish the amount of resistance you're likely to get and increase your chance of success. You still in, James? Well, the flop misses everybody, so anyone that wants to take a pop at this might well win it. Binion's is only $50 a night, James.
That sounds, but it's downtown though, isn't it? And
Yeah.
want to be going on the strip a lot, so have to be travelling all the time.
You can stay in historic Binion's though.
The rooms aren't very good though. Oh, they never used to be.
No, but, you know, as you said, we're going back to her place. Isn't mad, isn't it? Not both of us to one girl's place, obviously, that would be weird. I'm Nick Wealthall, I'm with James Browning. This is Poker Night Live, with you for the next 2.5 hours, boys and girls. And bringing you No Limit Hold'em for all of that time. Can you believe your luck? Wish the show had been on when I was a lad, I tell you. Do get in touch with us here in the studio. We're live, we're 100% interactive, and we want to talk about what you want to talk about. We want your emails, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Couldn't be easier. Well, suited board, and Jesbrid Nos is going to bluff at it. Again, heads up, a scary board. He's got position, the other guy's checked. I think that's a pretty good spot for a bet. And Tekai's called. Now, okay, fair enough, he's got the best hand, but he's not in a good situation. If Jesbrid can bet again here. He's giving it some thought. And he can bet again. Tichi. It is, isn't it? Not Tekai. I don't know what I'm doing. Tichai? Who knows? Calls again, and now moves all in. Well, that's an interesting play from Tichai, Tekai. Because that does look like a slow played flush. And he checked and called twice and then moves in on the river, James. Does look like a slow played flush. Interesting play. That could be excellent play, actually.
Tichai.
Certainly worked. Not that that's any indication. That's when Casper and I stopped listening to Jesse May many years ago.
When?
When he said, well, it almost certainly was the right course of action because he won the hand.
Oh, right.
Sorry, you've missed the point.
Wow.
Again, nobody has anything. This happens so often at this game. More often than you can possibly imagine. And if you watch the show for a decent amount of time, you'll know this. It's happens so much that nobody connects with the flop. Not the majority of the time, obviously, but there are a number of times, and checks usually mean weakness. Again, not always, there are no hard and fast rules, but if people show weakness, it's worth asking them the question. I believe if you're in a late position and you're not up against too many players and it's checked to you, very often it's profitable to make a bet. Because the amount of times you're called versus the amount of times people will fold, you are making money in a lot of games. Now, don't go crazy with this, doesn't apply to all situations, but in general, there is free money to be picked up in Hold'em because players don't hit the flop. They're odds against to hit the flop, in fact. Again, another thing which points you towards aggression when you play this game. Well, Eastbridge has got the big hand in the big blind. Nice place to be. And 158.72 will throw us away, I'd have thought. Not a hand you want to be calling a big re-raise with. Looks pretty, but heads up, it's not a good hand. And does the right thing. Sahara, $40 a night.
Go on, it's getting better.
That's 20 quid.
Oh, so that package, no wonder they could do that package cheaper, if that's all they're charging there. But the Sahara's on the strip.
It is.
Just.
The Sahara is actually a really friendly hotel. Very friendly dealers and...
Very friendly ones.
Oh dear. I don't think I can go to Las Vegas with you, James. You spend your entire time pole vaulting down the strip. TG likes this steal when he thinks there's dead money, when there's limpers in front of him, and it really isn't the worst play in the world. You've got to pick your spots, and he keeps doing it on Lucy Goosey's big blind. And Lucy Goosey likes to defend her big blind, especially the King Queen suited, and now hit the Queen, and should take this pot down. See, it's interesting, guys. Teachy's got the right idea, trying to pick up dead money in a tournament situation. Oh, objective's gone crazy with a pair of tens. Trying to pick up dead money is a good move, but you must pick your spots. That's what good tournament players do. They pick their spots. And one of the keys is who is in the big blind. The big blind is always, I believe, the most likely to call your raise because people feel that they should play their big blind. They've got money invested in the pot, so it's cheaper for them. So you want to be paying close attention when you make these steal raises to who is in the big blind. Lucy Goosey's name says it all. We've seen she likes to play. He likes to play, who knows. Pick your spots. That to me is just a silly move from Teachy. I don't know if that's a tilt move. He's made a couple of moves that I've liked. That one is silly. 1,800 chips. All the chips he's got in the tournament risked to win 60. Just doesn't make any sense. I don't care what hand he's got. Well, he finds a customer and then flops trips. So obviously that's what's going on. Now I understand his move. It all makes sense in retrospect. So does everything, even some of my relationships. That's because I rationalise, of course. I think it's dangerous for me to be doing this on my own.
No, it's quite interesting.
Really?
Sounds like you're in therapy.
I'm in tangent boulevard. I should be. That's clear. Well, we're down to 6 players. So 3 of these are going to go away moderately happy. 3 are going to go away sad because 3 of them will win a share of the prize pool. First, second and third. This is a no-limit Hold'em poker show. Poker show, it is. Poker tournament. And playing down to the last 3 people who share out the prize pool. Howard Lederer said something very interesting the other day when I was listening to him on a podcast.
All right.
He said, and this is common sense, but it was interesting to hear it expressed this way. He said that the most important point of a sit and go is 4th to 3rd. Now, we all kind of know this because it's the difference between winning no prize and winning a prize. But the way that he explained it is that 60% of the money is awarded for third place. 60%, Nick, you say? Yes, 60%. Here's how Howard put it. Basically, third place gets 20% of the money. So when there are 3 players left, each player is guaranteed 20%. You're actually only playing for 40% of the remaining money. 20% each is locked up, so 60% of the money is locked up. James, I don't know if you're able to listen to this. You're not really, are you, at key stage?
No, it's fine, yeah.
I'll get your opinion on it later, maybe, if you can't.
No, carry on.
I'll get your opinion in a second. So he's saying that 60% of the money is locked up in third place because all of the players are guaranteed at least 20%. So that means there's a tremendous premium on not bubbling, on making sure you get to third. Now, I think that's a really good way of expressing how the money's divided in Sit and Go. It was a short podcast. He didn't go into detail. What it's leading me to question is how you should play on the bubble. And should you actually temper your aggression? Because there are chips to be made on the bubble, definitely, because people tighten up because they don't want to get knocked out. But Howard's right, isn't he, James, that it is it's a key moment because you're going from no money to money being paid out to a significant amount of the money being paid out to the last 3 players.
Yes, it's an interesting concept. It's just that obviously when people... There's the other side of the coin is when people there are at the bubble stage, then people will probably err on the side of passing more than calling. So therefore it leaves an open window for people maybe to take down blinds because people are getting a bit more cagey and trying to manoeuvre themselves into that last 3. So what do you think? There's a little bit of that as well.
What I think is it throws up an interesting debate.
I think it throws up a very interesting debate.
I think it's not something that I've thought about enough. And I think it's interesting. What do you guys think? Poker@live.co.uk, as always.
I think it is a great point. I mean, basically, in a sit and go, I basically think that initially one should aim to get into the top 3.
Yeah.
Which will fit in with what he says. And then after you get into the top 3, then you only aim for first. You don't even consider second.
Yeah.
Because now you just try and find your way to get to first. I don't believe that 20% to 30% is worth. It's not worth manoeuvring there. There'll be some exceptions when you'll see a situation where you could actually slide into second. But the difference between third and second is slight, and the difference between third and first is big, and so therefore it's 3 times as much, isn't it? Basically,
it is. It's just throwing up an interesting question about play on the bubble because I have tended to when I've played sit and goes, and I don't play a huge amount. The only time I tend to play sit and goes is if I've got an hour to play poker. I guess that's when a lot of people play sit and goes, but I don't specialise in them like Cass does, for example. But I've tended to play quite aggressively on the bubble because I think people tighten up and I can steal the blinds.
Yep.
The question it's thrown up for me is, do I want to be doing that as much as I am? Because if I do go out making one of those aggressive moves, which in the past I've been prepared to do because I think in the long term it's profitable, am I actually costing myself money by making those moves?
It is.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
It is a difficult one, yes.
What do you boys and girls think? What do you do? Let's take an email because we're yakking on enough. Double Top. Good evening, Double Top. How are you tonight? He's asking about playing multi-table tournaments and sit and goes, and bankroll. So we've talked a lot about bankroll for cash games. Other side of the coin, multi-table tournaments and sit and goes. And I think Double Top, obviously, as you know, this is trickier to assess. He says, I'm forced to play low-level sit and goes and multi-table tournaments. $10 buy would be my maximum. Occasionally I play 20 and 30. Gaming beat the presenter. Now I'm getting great value for my money. Haha. By the way, what should your bankroll be for free rolls? Also funny. You need a bigger bankroll for those. With my young family, I'll not put the mortgage payment on the line. I'd like to pay at a higher level, but I'm working on building my poker account up slowly. Well, I think that's absolutely right. That's what you should be doing. Most of the great players have done it that way. Don't know if you saw Johnny Chan on the show. Sorry, it's getting boring, isn't it? It's not going to stop. But Johnny started off playing in $1 to $3 stud games. He started in the lowest possible games. He used to play after work. He worked in kitchens and built his bankroll up to, the scary amount of millions of dollars it is now. So you should build up and play with your winnings, definitely. He says the only problem finding at lower level sit and go is that most of the people don't understand the play moves I'm trying to execute. When this happens, I just play ABC poker. Well, that's absolutely the right thing to do, double top. The bottom line is if you can't beat the lower games, you won't be able to beat the higher games. So just play good fundamental poker and the results will come. But James, bankroll for sit and goes and multi-table tournaments. I think I've heard you say 100 sit and go entries.
Yes.
And that sounds right to me.
Yeah. I think it's as much as that, 100. So you play $5 sit and goes, you really should be looking at $500 there. Because, as I said, you don't necessarily have to have it there, but basically you've got to be allocating that money for it. Because you might just be, say, playing a few sit and goes every week and say, well, I can fund it each week. I can sort of, this will be my poker bankroll. But basically, I think the best thing for us really is if we eventually can actually have that actual poker bankroll separated from the rest of our life. Now, this would be far healthier because then we could take all other thoughts out of our minds and just say, I am playing to this bankroll, because that is the perfect way to be doing it. It shouldn't be, I'm playing to this bankroll, but I've got the car tax to pay.
Absolutely.
That's no good. So it's basically, it should be isolated. So it's getting into a dodgy area when we say, well, okay, well, I'm going to be drip feeding into this bankroll. It is a little bit dodgy area, but we can do it that way. But once we actually say, get that bankroll fully paid off and we've put it in there, we should really just have that set bankroll and then play a poker according to that. And then we can either drop down a level because we've lost half our bankroll, or we can move up a level when we've got the right bankroll for the next level, etc., etc. And if we monitor ourselves like that, that is the optimum way to make money in poker.
The other thing it kind of taps into is something that I've been saying increasingly on the show and coming to believe is increasingly important, is please have fun when you play poker. Because when I talk about seeing people play too high and seeing people in live games get emotional when they lose a big pot and things like that, poker's supposed to be fun. It's a game. Even if you play it for a living, it should be fun. In fact, I'm a big believer that whatever you do for a living, you should enjoy, otherwise you shouldn't be doing it. Only get one life and all that. But if you're not enjoying it, one of the main reasons people don't enjoy poker is that it hurts too much because they're playing too high, and as James says, they're worrying about things like the card tax. And Double Top's absolutely right. You know, please don't play at a level where when you lose it annoys you because it has a financial impact. Don't do that. I read a brilliant interview with Ronaldinho, the Brazilian footballer, who is famous for playing with a smile on his face. And he was asked about this in the interview I was reading. He said, why wouldn't I have a smile on my face when I play football? Everything I've wanted in my life's come true, and etc., etc. And you think, you know what? How come most professional sportsmen don't play with a smile on their face? You know, they're getting paid to do what they should love. And that was another thing that came over from the Johnny Chan interview, is that he obviously loves poker. He's lucky in that he's very good at what he loves and he's made a lot of money out of it. But he'll be doing it even if he wasn't. You do need to love what you're doing, and you do need to be playing poker at a level where it's fun, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Otherwise it becomes quite an unpleasant game, because as we know, you can do everything right and still lose money.
Of course.
So if that money hurts and you've done everything right, well, that's a big disconnect that can have a nasty impact.
No, definitely. It's and also I see one of the weaknesses I see people have. I see people go and play in a tournament. They've gone and had a rebuy tournament, and then they decide to go off to try and win their rebuys back at the roulette table or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, I've got to get that money back. I mean, wow, you know, how this is very tough to be playing proper poker if this is the way going to play another game which is negative equity to try and get your money back, of course, is a recipe for disaster in the long run.
We've got a quick, sorry,
Yeah.
You done? We've got a quick email from Carter.
You done?
I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Please continue.
Yeah.
We've got a quick email from Carter that we've covered off, actually. I just wanted to read it out. Thanks to email, Carter. He says, when I started playing poker, I experimented a lot with different sorts of tables, tourneys, cash games, high stakes, low stakes. And I settled on $5 single table tournaments with 10 players that I find the most profitable. That's great. You should do exactly what you find most profitable. I'd like your advice on how much to have in my account to play this game successfully. Well, hopefully you're still listening and you heard James say 100 entries is about right. So you're looking at $500 to cover the swings that you'll have. For multi-table tournaments, it's harder to know, isn't it? Because
Well, it depends. It just depends on what percentage of the prize money they're paying out and whether it's a flat structure or a top-heavy structure.
and the size of the fields, presumably,
Yes.
as well.
No, that's not so much.
That's
It's just
not.
the percentage of the payout.
Okay, yes.
So, i.e., are they paying out the top 10%, the top 20%, whatever? What will affect it is if it's a flat structure, that will be better for your bankroll rather than if it's a top-heavy structure, because you could play all year long and not get in the top 3.
Yeah.
But if you've got a flatter payout structure, that is more user-friendly for poker players. And this is the ironical thing, is again, according to my little analogy, our eyes are bigger than our stomach.
Yeah.
The poker player wants to look at this big first prize. When he gets to the final table, he doesn't want it, he wants to do a deal. But on the internet, he might say, oh, what was the first prize there? How much was it? Oh, yeah, it was so much. But really, what would suit him better would be to have the flatter payout structure. And even if he's a very good player, would suit him, because if he's consistent, he will be getting payouts, and so it won't be depleting his bankroll. Because technically, if he has a long time without getting in the top 3 and his bankroll decreases, he shouldn't be allowed to play some of these tournaments anymore.
Yeah.
So basically, what the bankroll requirements mean is that this is our permission to play at that level. So whatever we do is affecting the ongoing poker for ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Carter also says, why was Mr. Browning all by himself last night? He's not well liked. He looked very lonely.
Oh.
It's not true. It's not true. We had a cancellation of one of our presenters. You did a great job, by the way, says Carter. More praise for the man.
Thank you very much.
Keep the emails coming in. Great response so far tonight, guys. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We've talked a lot about bankroll. Happy to talk some more, but also whatever you'd like. Me and James would also like to talk about Vegas.
Yes.
Because we want to go like two pathetic kids in a candy store.
I think it's going to get worse as the night goes on.
It is going to get worse, isn't it? But
We
we would like your Vegas anecdotes. If you're going this summer, if you've been in the last couple of years, what's the poker scene like, etc., etc. poker@pokerlive.co.uk. We're going to get back to a tournament, our $10 tournament. And our friend Bonner U2 is all in. He has the flush, and look at this horrible situation for him. Stevie72 has a bigger flush. Somebody's just about to kick the computer.
Yep.
And it'll go, there you go. And Tekai has a full house. What a hand. What a hand. As you
There
gather,
it
guys,
was.
we pause the tournament there, so we don't want you to miss that hand. Two players busting out, both had flushes, both will have thought they were good.
And Teachai with the housey.
Yeah, beautiful.
Not quite as good as last night's.
You had a straight flush.
I actually named it before it happened, and I said about what happens if this 10 of spades comes. I said this is going to give, I forget the guy's name, a full house, but it's going to give the other player a straight flush.
Yes.
And the commentator's curse, ping, it landed from Mars. Full house and straight flush. Scary, isn't it? And actually some of the guys, it's quite fun, they've actually put a snapshot of it on the forum. So,
Cool.
So
Yeah, big hand. Won't see many
after
of
the
those.
programme's finished, you can go and have a look, but not now. Oh, go on, in the break you could have a quick look. Could they?
They could, but they should be finding us cheap Las Vegas holiday packages if they really cared.
Yeah, they would actually. if they
Do you know,
really care.
we-
Who can find us the best package from Vegas? That'd be good.
See, but you want to go in the middle of June. I can't go for another. I can't go till the end of July.
It's going to get more expensive as the...
I know.
Yeah.
I might have to wait till after the summer, which would be.
Anyway, anyone know of any cheap packages? I'm sure you're very good at better at
This is-
searching than we are.
Definitely abusing our position on the show. Now we're at the bubble here, James.
That's not good,
Lucy
we're friends.
Goosey is the short stack,
Aha.
and let's see how the players do play. We had a quick discussion about the bubble and whether you should play offensively or defensively.
Well, the blinds aren't very big, are they? It's only
No.
40-80, it's not too bad. But for Lucy Goosey, it is quite bad. But Lucy just makes up the small blind and has been asked a question. Now,
She'll be tempted to play, I think. Demurs.
so one has to ask oneself the question there, if I make up the small blind, what is the chance of the guy with his big chip stack raising me?
Yeah.
So what would you reckon it would be in that case? The guy's got you well out chipped. You've just made up the small blind.
Given the player it is, and we've seen how Teachy likes to move his chips, it's probably about an 80% chance. He's probably going to do it with anything apart from utter raise.
Okay, so you think he's going to raise it regardless 80% of the time because he's got position on you.
And he's
in
an
that
aggressive
case,
player. And
you shouldn't be making up the small blind.
he should not.
Because you've put that extra 40 is quite significant to Loosey Goosey because he's only had 500 chips.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you think that the opponent is going to be raising an awful lot of the time, and you're not going to be calling it, then you shouldn't even make it up that time. You should just keep that 40 to use with make your punch bigger when you punch.
Yes.
So therefore, if you've got to go in against someone, at least if you double up, you're going to double up a bit more, and you're going to have a bit more.
Yeah,
or you might increase the chance that they put it down or whatever.
You definitely need to make that adjustment when you've got a short stack, don't you? You can't afford to
fritter it away,
limp into pots. You can't afford to play small ball poker. You're trying to play, as you said, knockout poker, really.
Yeah, and so that's why you've got to consider your stack size all the time, and this will affect what play you should be making. Loosey Goosey on the big blind, I think, will like this hand and will be immovable.
Yeah, and quite right too.
Will the Welsh wizard try it on? I'm sure Loosey Goosey's going to call this. In fact, does, puts all the chips in, well played, hits the ace and a flush draw. How sweet is that? And makes the flush, no worries. Loosey Goosey's back in the game. But as it happens, would have had 1,000 chips now if hadn't fritted away the 40.
Could that be the difference between bubbling and not? Well, she's on the comeback trail here because Jacks are in a lovely spot against the 8s.
And it's going to commit, I think. Don't think it's got enough chips to do any other play. That's right, good play. All in from Loosey Goosey. And gets called, and look at that, hits the jack. Magic. Well, oh, no 5 wanted. And it's not there, thank goodness for Loosey Goosey.
Didn't need it, but there was the jack. And now, 150872's in trouble. I mean, in that situation, when you've got the 8s...
And now... Yeah, sorry.
I was just saying, when you've got the 8s, you want to be defensive, because you don't... If you're getting action, you are probably in a 50-50 situation at best, and on the bubble, you definitely don't want to be putting yourself in with that sort of... I mean, now he's crippled, now he's put himself in trouble, I think.
He has put himself in trouble, but it was just about the amount of money that Loosey Goosey had, because he'd made it... He was made it 240 himself with the 8s.
Uh-huh.
So therefore, it was just a bit difficult. It would be hard for him to put. It'd probably harder for him to put the pair down.
Well, don't play it in the first place.
Okay, think ahead then. That might be the point. Then that's quite good. That's what we should be thinking of.
You just
but
see,
it's short-handed. It's quite a bit. It's a tough one.
It's tricky, but I think that people go out of tournaments with middle pairs for that reason, because they make a raise and somebody comes over the top and they look at the pot and they think, I should call here. And they didn't need to get themselves into that situation in the first place.
Well, interesting, of course, because of having won 2 pots, that money, which Loosey Goosey made up the small blind with, could have actually been an extra 160 on his stack.
Interesting.
So that little play there, of course, multiplies, and that's just, we don't think about it that way, but that's 160. Now that becomes more meaningful, doesn't it?
It does. Teachy loves this play, absolutely loves a big raise when there's one limper. but keeps doing it to Lucy Goosey, and Lucy Goosey likes to call. Whether she wants to hear when she's on the comeback train, on the bubble, is another matter.
No, actually, this is clash of the two chip leaders now, isn't it? But Lucy Goosey does play. And look at this.
Well, Lucy Goosey's going to double through here.
Well, all the chips are going to go in here. Teach Eye's sort of thinking how wonderful this is. I can't believe it. Never believe I've got a 9. Lucy Goosey raising. Teach Eye's just going to set him all in here now. Yep, there it is. Lucy Goosey. And wow, from short stack to 4,360. Well, hit some good cards when needing them, but not frightened to call. Calls that one as well.
See, if I'm Ysbrid there, I'm just mucking the 3-4 because of who's in the big blind and how many chips she has.
Yeah.
I don't see the profit in raising there. She likes to call. You've got a terrible hand. You're out of position.
Well,
it's a lot of your chip stack.
But
well, made me look stupid.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not just saying. Was it her chips were or his or her chips were going down? Actually, still had the blinds aren't that too. No, actually, what did she have before this pot? Yeah, she only had about 1,100, I think. It's difficult. I think maybe the raise you did with the 3-4. I think that was. I think we should have made a play where I had higher fold equity myself, because it's not going to play too well otherwise.
Well, the thing is, throughout this entire sit and go, Lucy has defended her big blind.
And I think that's something one should have noticed, yeah. And that's a very good point. You've got to see what people are doing. Are they actually calling? And does this affect your fold equity?
Well, 15872 is on life support here, just 180 chips left, and going to find it extremely difficult to recover this situation. Actually, probably has to call this because, well, I think you've got to stick them in at some point and hope to get lucky, haven't you? I mean, probably should have done it earlier.
Well, we'll stick them in this time.
That pass was, what's the point of leaving yourself 180 chips? Not much.
Right, we'll see here. Favourite to double up anyway. Well, I don't know what thinking going here. It's only no. Oh, what happened there?
I looked away at the critical moment. I wish I hadn't. Ysbrid must have folded, obviously.
Well, no, but how's he ended up with 340?
Because Ysbrid.
Oh, was in for the blind, of course. Folded for 20. That was horrific.
That's one of those situations where the players click the fold box, haven't they?
Of course. Just fold, that's what's happened. But folded for 20.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, that was horrific. Was getting 17 to 1.
There you go.
It doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, folded for yeah, that's right. Folded for 20 and was getting 17 to 1. Well, that will be, I'm afraid to say, the worst play we see this month.
Don't be rash.
Could be this year.
But what's probably happened is, it probably isn't a play to defend Ysbrid. What's probably happened, not to defend because it's still an error.
It was like
he's probably
check or
ticked
fold.
the check or fold box.
Aha. Well, in that case,
that's the most likely scenario.
In that case, that is a
word of caution.
Yes, a cautionary word for everyone. Certainly in the bubble stages of a sit and go, do not leave the check and fold button clicked, because you have this huge error where you turn down a 17 to 1 odds for your 20.
Absolutely.
And that's extra bad because it's kept the fourth person alive in the tournament. So it's a huge error, isn't it?
It's been a very long bubble, this, hasn't it?
It's ever since you started to talk about the discussion on the bubble, I think it's affected it.
Is that what it is, in retrospect, in retrograde action?
Yeah. Eight, queen, 5.
180 chips. Well, Yusprid is actually betting with the best hand, but who knew?
Well, he thinks, well, I was down to this 180 before.
Yusprid might fold again. Not this time. Got to play, must play, does. And actually has an undercard and has hit.
And has hit. Twice.
No 5.
And needed to hit twice.
Yeah.
2 pairs beats ace deuce.
And still alive.
Now I do believe when
150,
someone's
872.
actually slumped to this very low level, then definitely they should be playing tactically then. Actually, I think there's got to be equity in playing tactically now. So just thinking about this, if you've actually gone below the push level, it has to become a bit of a game of tactics. Because actually T-Chai has actually gone a little bit low as well. He could well get in an encounter with someone.
Well, that's more chips for the number that dare not speak its name. And he survives, and the bubble continues.
Yes.
The thing was, we got to the bubble at a very low level of blinds.
Now this is the one here, which is the interesting one. Does he decide to, which in four-handed ace-7's a big hand? Does he decide to push with it there? And he's just unfortunate, really. He's walked into ace-king.
Do you think it's a big hand four-handed?
Yeah, quite.
It's all right.
A7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well above average. You've got crushed with the flush.
And finally, we pop the bubble. Got a very interesting email from Robin Duran. Don't know if you'll have time to deal with it before the break.
Okay.
Let's see.
But we can chew it over.
Thanks to Robin Duran. It's an interesting one. I'd like your opinion on something. Normally, I play sit and goes and multi-table tournaments for stakes up to $10, so smallish stakes. Earlier this week, I won a seat into a $1 million tourney on a site. And there are quite a few of them about, which I think is mental. It's amazing to me. A couple of sites do them weekly. The value of the seat was $215. Now, I felt $215 would be better spent by me on lots of smaller tourneys, so I cashed the seat in. After all, the standard of the players likes to be a lot better than I'd probably be able to handle. The thing is, most of my friends think I was wrong and that I should have played. I've played in it once, and it's a tough game with a shortage of fish and with a field of over 5,000, so I didn't think my chances. What do you think? Should I have played, or is the cash better invested in games I know I can handle? Interesting.
It is interesting. Couple of points. One, actually, if there's about 5,000 players, I think actually there's going to be quite a lot of fish there, actually, because they've all got through there for a different satellite. So I disagree slightly on that. I think there'll be some good players there, but there will be a healthy proportion of fish as well. I think actually, though, you know, rather than going for the jackpot, which is obviously an outside chance, I think you've been, there's nothing wrong with what you've done, and I think just taking that money and using that for your own personal bankroll is you're just taking poker in a very sensible manner, and you're just trying to grow and keep control, and I think for sure you respect your chips now, and I feel that is a good sign, and I think this is a sign that you are, you know, becoming a good thinking poker player. I think it's a really, really good sign.
I think you're right to do it, Robin, as well. I think, you know, if you play the tournament, you're taking a shot, and of course that could pay off handsomely, but you've made a great profit on the satellite. Why not take a profit? Because even if you had an edge in the tournament, even if you're one of the best players, with a field that big, you know, your chances of hitting are so remote. Your expectation is almost certainly greater playing in your normal tournaments. Yeah. James, we're going to have lots more of that. Lots more of your texts and emails. We're going to watch James's Beat the Presenter as well. All after the break. Final multi-table still to come. Keep those emails coming in. Sunday night, Monday morning, Poker Night Live. We're halfway through, and you won't believe this, but this is the better half. So stay tuned, isn't it, James?
Definitely.
As far as the scripts show, anyway. We're having some fun tonight, guys. Just been watching a great one-table tournament, which we'll get back to. And we're also going to do James's Beat the Presenter tournament in this segment of the show. But we're going to do a couple of your emails first. Great response as ever, guys, but do keep them coming in. 2 more hours, so lots of chance to get yours read out. 84222 is the text, and poker@pokernightlivec.co.uk is the email. No emails yet about, well, none that we're going to read out about Vegas.
No, not yet, but I'm sure you're going to find...
Come on, slake our thirst. We just want stories, or how brilliant the new poker rooms are, or if you're going out there this year.
Or the best package you can find from, say, halfway through June. And
all about the best package, isn't it? Email from Ken Snappit, who says, good evening, Ken, by the way, how are you? This is all about bankroll, which has been tonight's subject. That organically evolved through chat and viewer interaction. He says he agrees with us on bankroll, the most important thing in winning poker. I was playing above my bankroll and knew I was doing okay in the games. Eventually I started doing poorly. The main reason was I was playing with scared money and was too afraid to do the right thing. Well, that's absolutely true. It's one of the key things about the money side of the game. Now he's got a question which is related to that. He says there's been some debate on entering ring games, cash games, and how much you should do that, and whether you should enter with half the maximum buy-in. He says he prefers to have the maximum, but do you support the shorter stack theory? Would you need less than the normal bankroll? For instance, if you're playing 25 cent, 50 cent, and entered the game with £25, would you only need a bankroll instead of £1,000 instead of £2,000? Well, no, it wouldn't affect that really. James will explain why. There are different arguments about how much you should buy into a game for. Basically, buying in with a shorter stack means that you'll be all in more, and that has pros and cons to it. Personally, I prefer a bigger stack because it gives me more manoeuvrability, and also because I feel that if you buy in with a smaller stack, you potentially don't get paid as much as you could with a good hand. But there are people who, you know, good pros who prefer a smaller buy-in for different reasons. James, thoughts on that, and also on why you'd still need the same amount of money?
Yes, why you still need the same amount of money is because if you buy in with a shorter stack, then it's more likely that when you get in the contest with someone that you're going to be fully committed to the pot, and i.e. if it goes wrong, you're going to lose all your chips. Whereas when you play with a larger stack, well, therefore you have more chance to play poker where you can control the size of the pot, etc., etc. And maybe at the end there, even when you're a hand where you're up against the hand which has got you beaten, you maybe can now, say, for example, be in a situation where you check and call and the person only charges you so much because they can see you've got this big stack of chips and saying, I wonder how much I can get paid off him. And so they tend to charge you probably less than you'd have paid them. When it's you are sitting there with the short stack, the person doesn't think anything, and he just goes bang, and he bangs it all in. And therefore, you're going to get wiped out a lot more times. Now, because of that, the greater chance of losing the stack, it basically is still in proportion to the game. You still really, although you're playing a different style. I'm not saying it's never right to play with a short stack. I think generally it's right to play with the maximum buy-in because you've got all your weapons. And you're there to catch someone. If there's a bad player in the game, you want to have him covered in chips, because if you get in the contest with him when you've got him completely strangled, you want to get every chip off him if you can. So that's why you want to be there, to capture all his chips. Also, when you're making raises, you're now able to do continuation bets. You're able to now to frighten the people away because they say, why, how big is that next bet going to be? You've got the power. Occasionally in a small stack game, though, you might see that people are playing very badly against short stacks, which I've mentioned before. If that's the case, well, dip in there with a short stack and just get someone who just sloppily pays you off. But of course, once they've done that, you're getting your stacks rising anyway.
Yeah, good advice as ever from Mr. Browning, and I hope that helps you guys. Vexed questions these, the old bankroll buy-in shenanigans. If you've got any more questions or thoughts, do get them into us, and of course on any other subject, particularly on how brilliant Las Vegas is. Don't know why, but James and I are just craving. Poker@pokernightlivec.co.uk. Keep them coming, guys. We can get back to that one-table tourney. Let's have a look.
Yes.
We were on the bubble. We were on the bubble forever. And
eventually
we lost...
Seat
150872 in seat 8. And suddenly we're going to be heads up unless Tekai can hit. A 7 would be nice.
Or a 2.
And there's a 2. So you can call the cards.
I know, I
magical,
just seem to be
magical.
having this magical power of late. Not with my own hands, however, but on here, but...
Have we got interesting learning points from your Beat the Presenter to look forward to and enjoy, James?
I don't think too much from me, probably, but hopefully from some of the other players.
Ysbryd making the raise with the pocket pair. And gets Lucy Goosey to pass in a big blind. Wonders will never. And three-handed poker, one of the more interesting games you can play, I think. Different, every time the action gets to you, you've got different concerns. You're either small blind, big blind, or button. The blinds are now pretty high, and that's going to be the determining factor, I think. Tech Eye's under most pressure. Has the best hand here.
I've continued my experimentation with the size of raises in my cash games. I was playing full ring games today. Always big hand here. Ace-8 against 8-5.
I don't think Ysbryd needed to call this. But he did, and Tech Eye doubles up. And now Ysbryd's the one under pressure.
Big pressure because the blinds are big. It's 163.20. Ooh, there's a 7 to last, but I think the Ace-10 is going to play.
Trouble for
Two pairs.
Ysbryd. Oh, gets out.
On the turn, wiggles out of trouble.
And they're just passing chips between them, these two. And now Tech Eye's the one under pressure. Teachy. How do you say your name, Tech Eye?
Teach-Eye.
Teach-Eye.
I think.
It might be Ekchi, for all you know.
To each eye.
See? Many models.
Teach-Eye.
But what's the correct answer? Email us and let us know, poker@pokerlive.co.uk, and also tell us about this one table and that move that we've seen you do. Very interesting one, raising the dead money.
The Teach-Eye Shuffle.
That's what it's called. Well, difficult now. So few chips for Teach-Eye.
It's 12:08 a.m. and most of the housemates are watching Poker Night Live.
Can he see you? Imagine 8 years ago that man just went for an audition for some programme or other, and now he's got a paycheck for life. Well,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Gets out again. This tournament's been amazing for people getting out of trouble and not dying. Extraordinary. Defying the odds.
Early in the game, they pricked these balloons and got extra life. So whenever they've been attacked, their life bar is strong. Five. It could be enough.
I have to admit, this is why one tables don't do it for me, James.
Oh.
As a player.
Why is that?
Just the big blindedness nature of the finale.
Oh, right.
Just not my thing. I know why people like them, and you know, you get all of your poker in one game, don't you? You get your full game down to your short-handed, and it's exciting and everything. But personally, I prefer poker with a little bit of play in it. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you.
I do as well. I mean, that's why I do like playing. I love playing a no-limit cash game because to me, I think it's very skillful.
Yeah.
And I can do all different styles of betting and play different hands, etc., or whatever I want to do. I can vary my game accordingly. So I do enjoy that. But I would enjoy this as well.
I'm talking relatively.
Yes.
I enjoy the worst game of poker in the world.
Yes. But I can see what you're saying. But I think the only thing is it's quite fun being able to recognise the different stages of the tournament. And
again, the all-in player wins. Amazing. You're
It is
all in your win
amazing.
in this
And
one
the
table.
thing is here, poor old Lucy Goosey's being eroded.
Yeah, very interesting. Was every time we'll be praying for the all-in player to go out. And it
Exactly.
Just
And what's happened is Lucy Goosey's blinds have been sifted away from him or her, and he had about 4,000 chips before.
Yeah.
Now it's down to 2,700, and with a decision. And I think he's going to put this one down.
It does, and now
He's in
all
only
the
in second
stacks,
place.
the stacks are much of a muchness.
Yeah. Well, and Lucy's got a terrible hand here, and probably has to pass again, or be very aggressive.
Well, Teach-Eye is now the chip leader. Who'd have thunk it?
It's amazing.
Got a question for you and the viewers after this one table,
Lucy
for us all to ponder.
Oh, gosh. I like those. Lucy Goosey, 9 Jack. Must be contemplating doing something, no?
Yeah, she's a caller, not a raiser, Lucy.
Teach-Eye.
And this stage of the tournament is where that finds you out, I think.
Aggression. And called by King 2. Wow, that is a hard call, isn't it?
Split pot.
But of course was in the blind, and that's why he felt sort of committed.
Choppy.
And it's right.
There is no end to this tournament. This tournament is going to go on for the rest of the show. I
Without
hope
him,
you're all enjoying it at home.
You just keep passing round and round and round.
Somebody could work out theoretically, because the blinds are capped, aren't they?
They're capped at 640, 1280.
So theoretically, it must be possible for it to last forever.
It's hard work having 3 people in the blinds of that size, I can tell you.
What if it lasts forever? What do we do then?
Well, we'll just have to show the rest of it tomorrow.
That's very funny. Because if it lasts forever, yeah, I get it, yeah. Good. Well, Yisprid leaves 544 behind for a rainy day. I think that's going to wash. Teach-Eye will play this, I think, yeah. And now Yisprid's all in, and surely now we'll see somebody go out. No! Queen, a jack or a heart. Queen, a jack or a heart. Trips, of course. Of course. Yisprid, don't take this personally. I don't want you to go out. I don't mind. I don't mind.
He wants you all to just explode now.
No, well, I just think it would be nice if somebody went out.
You think it'd be nice if someone won it quickly now? Tell the truth.
I want somebody to win it, yes.
Soon.
I'm worried that this is going to be the
Longest
perpetual...
ever sit
It's
go.
going to disprove the theory that there's no such thing as perpetual motion. Because it's going to last forever. Do you know what? We've seen plenty of one tables at this blind level. It hasn't actually lasted that long. It's just that we got to 4 players really quickly.
No, it has lasted a long time though. It has, Nick. You were commentating on this.
I was commentating this before you were born, mate.
Exactly. It's
And
been going on forever.
somebody else will have to commentate on it after my death.
Jack's in front. Oh look. Oh, it's Lucy Goosey who's going to go.
That seems unfair.
That does seem unfair. I think you're partly to blame for that, Nick, I'm afraid.
I feel I am. I've influenced it through
Lucy
my
Goosey,
vibes.
I don't. I really think Nick's put the... Oh, sorry, Lucy.
Please don't hate me, Lucy. Well, Yisprid's got the big chip advantage, but as we know on this table, that means nothing. In fact, you want to be all in.
But that means that Nick wants you to win, because you're the one more likely to win quickly.
Why are you putting all this on me?
I'm not sorry, Nick. I just had a feeling I had.
It was a story that wouldn't end. That was the problem.
Yes. 9-7. Ah, Teach-Eye wins it.
Of course.
Ah. Back and forward. It's a bit like watching tennis. And small blind's got 9 Jack of hearts. Are you going to pass chips? No. Well, oh! Wow, and that's a doubtful pass by Teach-Eye there. So much in the middle there. It's hard to pass that one.
Yeah, well, we see...
Even though it was a funny hand.
We see that mistake all the time, I'm afraid.
And this looks like it could be the end. It's trip 5s.
It is the end, isn't it?
It is the end. There's no escape. And we have a winner. It's the Welsh Wizard.
They said it would never end. They were wrong. It's ended.
Not quickly, but now.
No, but it
was
was
good.
enjoyable, like a
I
long
enjoyed it.
drama,
Yes.
like War and Peace. Well done, Ysbrydgenos. It's good, isn't it? It's basically Welsh.
With a touch of Russian in there, I thought that time.
That's just because you're thinking Tolstoy because of the reference.
No, the accent was more...
Can I just shock you? I am
Yes.
actually half Welsh.
Really?
Nope. I lied about it. I shouldn't
Oh.
have. I'm not, and I can't do accents. I apologise to you and the Welsh nation for my futile attempts.
Would you can siarad Cymraeg?
What?
Do you speak Welsh?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay.
We're going to crack on, I think, aren't we?
Yes.
In a second.
In a
We're going to show
second or
you
two.
Beat the Presenter tournament.
Oh.
You excited?
No.
No. Guys, this is a tournament. If you're just tuning in or you're new to the show or something crazy like that, James, poker professional and guru, demonstrated that skill on a tournament online earlier. We're now going to watch it and see all the cards and analyse his play, get his insight, so you get to see a game through a professional's eye and brain. While he's doing this, while we're watching this and analysing it, keep those emails coming in. poker@pokerlightlive.co.uk. Great response. We can go through quite a few after this tournament, so now's a good time to email, guys and girls, and anything you like. Let's have a look at this tournament. Not enough Vegas ones yet, boys and girls. I guess it's not happening. I guess you don't want to talk about Vegas, and that's fair enough. It's not what the show's about. It's just what me and James want to talk about.
Yeah. And we're dreaming about.
We are dreaming about it.
Yeah. Morrison's got a pair of nines in the big blind.
Interesting first hand, actually. Potentially.
Yeah, because Johann's got ace-8 suited on the button. He might pop some chips in.
He doesn't move many chips at the beginning of a tournament, though, does
No.
he, Johan?
No, I mean, he might limp in.
Oh, he raises.
He raises this time.
Now, if you're Morrison, you've got 2 nines, first hand of the tournament, what do you do? I wouldn't do that.
You'd have raised.
Or passed.
Right.
I might pass. I hate playing middle pairs out of position.
Well, especially, yes, out of position's a problem. But now, oh, that's cruel, isn't it? He's bet out on the flop. He's read it pretty well. Johann had the 8, however, and now clicked the ace. What a magical card.
What would you have done if you were in Morrison's position before the flop? I think it's an interesting dilemma.
It is an interesting dilemma. I don't like it much because, just as you said, I'm going to be out of position. I'm playing a raised hand with like a middle pair, and I would rather know where I was.
Yeah. So same kind of thinking, really. It's a fold or a re-raise. Probably a fold.
Except with the 2,000 starting chips there, I can actually I can call this because it's only costing me 60 more.
What are you calling it? What's your plan when you call?
Well, the plan is to get lucky, hit a 7.5
That's
to
a
1
rubbish
shot.
plan, James.
I mean, that would be the dream. The dream. With Vegas and go to Vegas and hit the flop. That would be the dream. A low flop,
That's
I'll come
not
out.
like you,
A
is
low
it?
flop, I'll come out betting.
Yeah.
Or if it's a flop I really think he's missed, I might actually check and then do a check raise against him on the flop. So I'm going to have some plan of action if I decide to call it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But it's not an ideal situation.
I've got a tip here from Ben, who's emailed in. Ben, I will get to the rest of your email, but just to get the Vegas ball rolling. He says the Vegas, the Mirage is offering some good poker rates at the moment. Now, the Mirage, when I lived out there, was like my office. It's where I played on a daily basis. I loved it.
So what's he say? What's he say? Come on.
All he says is it's offering good poker rates. And we discussed this. The hotels in Vegas is... Oh, look, we've got a stray. Oh, shut up. Shut up, Nick.
7, 8, 9, 10, Jack. And Kev gets away from it.
Begin talking, Nick. We talked a little bit, didn't we, me and you, in the break about poker room rates. And all the big poker room hotels in Vegas do them. But the problem is you normally have to play 6 hours a day, which is fine because most of us, if we go to play poker, will play that long. But you're locked into playing in one room, which is not ideal really, especially now. Like in the old days when there were only 2 or 3 big rooms, you didn't mind so much.
Actually, just explain that because that's quite interesting. Explain what generally the deal is.
Well, the deal is that you'll get a special room rate, which will be a good rate. It will be cheaper than,
for example,
the rack rate. Well, I paid when I've done it in the past, the Mirage. I've paid. Let me think. I think $70 during the week and $100 at the weekend. Now,
Right.
Mirage, an average rate at a Mirage nowadays, well, when I was there, would be kind of maybe 100 to 120 during the week, and anything up to 150, maybe 200 if there's something happening at the weekend. That's when it's particularly good. If there's something happening in Vegas, like a big convention or something, you could still get the poker rate. The problem is you're locked into playing a certain amount in one room, and especially now when there's so much poker in Vegas, you probably don't want that.
Right.
Because you probably want to play the different tournaments, and you probably want to check out
Now,
different places.
what if you play at one of the rooms there, and can you get anything else if you don't want the room off them? Will they give you some other comps?
Oh yeah, there's comps everywhere, yeah.
We'll give you comps for the amount of time you play anyway. So you could actually get comped and have your meals there or whatever,
you'll get your meals.
or a show or whatever you wanted.
You'll have to play quite high to get a show and stuff, but you'll get a meal.
Are the rooms at the Mirage good?
Yeah, beautiful.
I've got the plan then.
You're
I've
gonna
got
eat-
the plan.
you're
No,
gonna
I've got
eat
it
the poker
sorted
rate
now.
at the
No, it's far better.
All right.
I'm going to find a girl who plays 6 hours a day in the Mirage. She'll have a nice room.
That is a brilliant plan. If either of us had found a girl that plays in the Mirage every day, we wouldn't be sitting here, would we? All due respect to the show and the viewers, there's some things there's no competition for.
Morrison limps. Oh, look at this. What a beautiful limp it was. Ping.
Yeah, pointless though, sadly, with Johan with the 6-2.
Because Johan could be able to make a move at the early stages. Now, actually, you can't let him have a free draw now. However good your hand is, because you could then walk into trouble with your trip aces if you weren't careful.
Browning there, seat 1, yet to play a hand.
Have you played any of these yet?
Unmoving oasis of poker calm, the dammed up well of aggression.
I've avoided a lot of trouble, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, 7 king.
Uh-huh. Ben, what are the Mirage poker room rates? I'm so lazy I can't be bothered to phone them. James wants to know, he might be going in a couple of weeks. Johan Harron Olympia on the button, he does that more than when he raised before. We're both a little bit surprised because he quite often does this late position limp early stages.
I think it's good play. I like it because you can play. You know, you can. I do this a lot in live tournaments in the rebuy stages or early stages.
Because the blinds aren't worth winning. Look at this strong play with the re-raise from Johan. That's very strong play.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, if you're watching boys and girls, that's an example of some very strong tournament play. So the thinking with the limp late on is you don't want to win the blinds because they're so small in relation to your stack. You're trying to win a bigger pot.
Yeah.
After the flop.
Or even win the blinds with probably very little risk because you're winning it when you know you're winning, say, or you're with knowledge of what your hand is.
Yeah.
Basically. So rather than putting this raise in there and then having to sweat it out with a bigger size pot, he's actually controlling the size of the pot. And so in the early stages, if you can control the size of the pot, it means you can play more pots. Two queens suited.
Proving this show's interactivity.
Ah.
Here's fun. We've got an update from Phil, who's the guy in the
he's a
$1 million
guy.
tournament who did very well early on. He sent us in an update. I'm a bit cautious because we don't want to do this on a regular basis because people will just be sending in their progress. We're going to make an exception for Phil because he was first up tonight. He's still in, which is good news.
Chips?
He's about average now. He's got about the average stack.
Oh.
After the great cards the first 15 minutes, I have rubbish for about 2 hours. I've been stealing a few blinds off shorter stacks, and I feel comfortable now, as most of the players are not as good as I thought they'd be. They rarely are, Phil, in this wonderful game of poker. About 700 players till the money. So we started off with a lot more than that, didn't we?
It was thousands, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good luck, Phil. We're all rooting for you here on PNL. Tell you what, if you win it, you can come on the show. What? That's fair enough.
That's fair enough.
We'll have a winner of $1 million tournament on the show, won't we?
Definitely.
I've promised it now anyway. Because I have the power to do that. I really don't. Thanks for that, Phil. Keep us updated.
Head chopper, no. And Mr. McTish there has got 10-9 suited, quite nice position. He raises it. I don't want to play a guessing game out of position. I'm actually hoping to find a hand somewhere along the way, but it doesn't really happen. I don't want to be trying to play pushing non-hands at the moment. I don't need to. McTish has got a real hand. He's got big slick. Makes it 120, 3 times the big blind. And so far it's pretty, there's not a lot happening there. If we look at the chip stacks, everyone's pretty level. Morrison's a little bit lower, but McTish raises again. Kev Steele's got ace-10 on the button.
Options.
Still only the second level of the tournament, but he's decided to put the re-raise in, ask the big question.
Well, I like that.
What do you think you're up against?
No, I just like if he's going to play, he might as well re-raise.
Okay. I don't know whether ace-10 in the second level, how good it is to do that. I mean, it's so easy to be up against ace-jack. The guy would have done the same bet maybe. Or
Yeah, absolutely. But you could do it not on the basis of the cards, couldn't you? You could do it on the basis that McTish has made a small raise, which could indicate weakness. Actually, it does on this occasion. And he thinks, I can pick that up and I can pick up the blinds.
Yeah, he actually had the better hand, McTish, though, didn't he? He had a pair of 8s.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's not what I'm saying, is it?
All right. He's not weak, though, is he? I mean, he's not like for 9-10 off suit or something.
Well, he's not weak, but it may be a hand that he wouldn't call a re-raise with, is my point.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Not that he's doing with nothing, but that
he mightn't call
the last thing he wants is... So
not a big hand.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's quite clear. It wouldn't be a big hand, but as it happens, he did call it, didn't he?
He called it, and then Kev fired the second barrel by raising him on the flop, which was a nice play.
But scary, because he's only got the second pair on the flop. So it's again, he's playing it. What I'm saying is, all I worry slightly about is in an early stages, he's maybe taken. There's quite a few judgments he's had to make on this one hand.
Yeah.
He's actually made this hand very big, with not a powerhouse hand, because ace-10 offsuit isn't a powerhouse hand.
No.
And it's a hard hand to know where you are with. Especially like a jack comes on, well, yeah, the guy could have ace-jack in my mind. I mean, it's not such a... You happen to be really quite fortunate with your decisions.
Yeah.
So I just worry whether that's good enough to make such a big pot early stages. That would be my... It looks great when it works, but that doesn't mean to say it's right. I just think keeping on doing that play with ace-10 in these early stages against people who maybe are playing some bigger hands, etc., etc., I just wonder how that would do in the long run.
I don't know, James. I mean, I like the... I'm not saying it's the right move or the wrong move. I like the attempt to exploit some weakness. I'm sure that's the thinking behind it, and that aspect of it I like, whatever stage of a tournament it's at.
Oh, at another stage of a tournament, I could sort of really think it was a great play.
But what difference does it make if he thinks the other guy is weak? I'm not saying he made the right move. You understand that? The jury's out. Conceptually, if you see an opportunity to take some chips off somebody because they're
then he's played
weak,
he's played it the way you should play that in that case.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make a difference what stage of the tournament it's at, to me. In fact, I'd almost rather do it when I've got time and space with the blinds to recover if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to provoke an argument.
Okay, no, it's interesting though. It's just that as you've got the size of the blind is your time, and this is a time where maybe you can find how nice if you're able to find a genuine hand which you can play with.
Yeah, sure.
Because your overall chance of winning that hand is higher.
I agree, but in these sit and goes, sometimes the genuine hands don't
Sometimes
come.
you never get one, like 4-8.
Well, exactly. That's my point. That's why I think you need to sit down and you need to balance what you're saying.
Yes.
With make some chips.
Yes, but I haven't had a hand really yet. But
No.
I'm not bothered because it's still only the second level.
Yeah.
And I've got 1880, and that's fine. A lot of play left. It's frustrating. It'd be nice to have gone ahead. I mean, it's obviously the game's far better when you can win a few chips early on or whatever. It's nice, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to panic yet.
I didn't ask you my question.
Right.
This is for you and the viewers.
Okay.
Ears open, mouths closed, everyone. Listening.
I feel nervous, actually.
Well, you should. I read an interview with Mike Sexton in this month's Poker Player magazine.
Poker Tour.
Yeah, the World Poker Tour man. And he said that he would like to see World Poker Tour events, and his, voice has some pull in the industry. He would like to see a lot of events.
Yeah.
What are you pointing at? You've got 9-3.
Yeah. No, sorry. Go on.
He would like to see World Poker Tour events, and a lot of the big tour events play. Now get this, because I was surprised. Pot limit before the flop, and no limit after the flop.
Yep.
Now that is a game that really doesn't exist at the moment. He's basically inventing a hybrid game.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and I think
obviously it increases the skill level because it stops people making big moves before the flop where you can't be too far behind. It turns into a crapshoot, as we know. What do we think about that?
I think it's a great idea.
Really?
Absolutely great idea.
Uh-huh.
I think it just will add just take away this pushing move. And the thing is, the pushing move is at the time it's being done, and when we see it in the final of these World Poker Tours, etc., it's the right play. I'm not arguing with it being the right play. It is the right play,
yeah.
And I will do it in certain situations. I'm going to push with different sorts of hands, different times, because in relation to the amount of chips I've got and the blinds, I've assessed that there's a certain amount of fold equity, and it's right to push. So, but it's very, very nice, I think, this idea that to have the pot limit pre-flop and then no limit after.
Right.
I think it's a good idea. In fact,
if we're going to do it, we need a name for it.
Yes.
You need a jazzy name for TV.
Yeah.
McTish has got the queens in the big blind, a nice place to have them. Let's see what he does if he re-raises or calls. He re-raises. Well.
Now what?
Oh well, that's a curious move.
Well, he's asked a question and
he got the answer
and didn't listen.
No. I think Thames outthought himself there. He thought McTish is trying to re-steal and I can push him off.
And see, why should I just don't think it could be right to do that with a small pair in the early stage when there's still 8 players in the tournament, basically.
Well, it isn't right, but it's two different. It's not apples with apples, is it? It's two different scenarios. Because he's played for all of his chips.
Yeah.
Straight away, and that's not right.
No, that's what I'm saying. I just think he's just over. Listen, later in the tournament, I'll say good play. It's unlucky when he goes all in with his pair of 4s or whatever, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But at this early stage, I just don't think it can be right. There's too much play left in the tournament. Why does he shouldn't be?
Guys, I'd like your thoughts on this pot no limit idea.
Yeah.
Poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. It'd be interesting to know what people think. It's just interesting that the thing about poker is.
I've got a name for it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is it a silly one?
No, it's.
Oh, what is it?
I think you could call it Potno.
Potno.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you.
You've got my number.
The interesting thing about it is.
Have you got my number?
Oh yeah, definitely. The interesting thing about
Here's
it...
my email.
Yeah, sure. The interesting thing about it is that poker
Potno.
is still evolving.
It is
I
evolving.
mean, you don't get people going, I tell you what, we've got this game called tennis at Wimbledon this year. Why don't we play, first to 52 points? Poker
not
has
true.
that about it.
Not true.
What?
The tennis, they're adapting the rules of tennis.
Right,
All
yeah,
the games
right,
are being
hang on.
adapted.
Fine,
Okay.
yes, but not in a fundamental structural way.
Massive way. Doubles in tennis. No, I have to say this. Doubles in tennis, they've now made it best of 3 sets, and the final set is a tiebreaker,
Yeah.
and they're short sets.
Yeah.
And I think they're even making it a lot of tournaments where it's a deuce. It's sudden death
All right, fine.
to make it more exciting.
Fine. I think my point stands, which
Okay.
is that this is the creation of a new... It's a pretty fundamental change. You're creating a completely new entity on which there's no formulated thinking or structure or... In fact, let's get off the point as to whether it's how it compares to other changes. The point is it would be a fascinating thing to happen.
It would.
In that you'd be creating an entirely new game.
Yeah, yes, but it's a game which people play pot limit and they play no limit. So
Not together, James.
not together. So it's not going to be rocket science to. It's not like you're giving them too much to think about.
I'm trying to,
No,
ramp up the excitement
I think
about
it is
this
exciting.
new...
I think it's a great idea. I like it. I think it's a great idea.
I wonder if it's actually not a great idea from a TV point of view. Because the thing about poker on TV, and Tem is going to bite the bullet here unless he hits, had no chips left after that unwise 4-4 move. The thing about TV is, as poker players and thinkers, we actually aren't fans of the TV finals because they're so random and there's not a huge amount of skill and that kind of thing. But for a casual mainstream audience, at least after watching a couple you can get to grips with what's going on. And at least, it's quite pure and there are moments of big drama when they both push in. If there's a lot more jousting and little bets and, it becomes more interesting for us, but does it, for the mainstream market, make it a less good TV product? Should we care?
I think eventually, people are going to be looking more from the poker on the TV. I think initially they get interested when they see these massive stacks of chip go in the middle and all the money being brought on the table and the people playing for huge sums of money. But I hear more and more people are talking more about, say, oh, did you see that cash game tournament that we're showing on TV, etc., etc., and where there's more play in it. And I think it's a natural progression that people will want to see poker with more play and see more plays, because in the end they're watching it because they're picking up clues what to do themselves and say, oh, I want to play this hand like Phil Hellmuth does or like Johnny Chan does, etc., etc. You were on with Johnny Chan, weren't you?
Yeah, he's a close personal friend, yeah.
So I think people would like to see this. I mean, personally, regarding tournaments, I would like to see quite an experimentation with Texas Hold'em tournaments as well, because of the no play situation. I'd quite like to see. It might be interesting even to go further. It might be interesting to have a look at half pot limit, because even pot limit becomes like no limit anyway.
Towards when the blinds
Yes.
get big, yeah.
So half pot limit would actually be quite a fascinating game, because now there'd be a lot of manoeuvring, a lot of having to read where you were on the flop and where you were in the pot, and that is really stretching the skills, which would be more the skills you see in a money game, because in a money game, part of the thing there is a matter of minimising your losses, maximising your wins.
Well, in a money game, people tend to have enough money in relation to the blinds. That's
exactly. So therefore, by making half pot limit, it would give people more play, technically in a way give them more money and give them more option to play interesting poker.
Interesting
a big
stuff,
raise here
isn't it?
from Hedge. It is a big raise from Head Shopper, pair of eights. In fact, he's just gone all in, and I don't blame him really, because the blind 81.60. It is starting to get very expensive.
Poker at pokernightlive.co.uk, guys. We'd love your thoughts on new poker games, what the future is for poker, and poker on TV. Particularly Browning's in.
Well, I hadn't played. So
What prompted this rashness?
I just thought I'd actually limp in with it, and look at this. Kev Steele's done a great move on me.
Hasn't he?
Well done, Kev.
Yeah, kudos. See, I stuck up for him earlier. I knew he could play.
So I thought, well, I looked at my stack and I said, well, I'll try it again.
Does he do it again?
I don't know.
Does he?
No.
No.
I think someone else does it. Oh, no. He doesn't. He just calls it. So this was fine. I got my look at it. He's bet. The size of the bet felt like I was on the wrong end of it. So I put it down. So I didn't mind that. And I didn't really expect to get raised, actually, the second time. But cute raise, Kev Steele.
Got lots of emails, so I'm going to do one over the tournament. I'll stop if there's a critical hand, just because it's from... sorry, made myself laugh. I'll explain why. From a player in the previous sit and go, whose name we couldn't get right.
Right.
Who has emailed in response to my query. Thank you so much for that. Good evening to you. In response to asking how do you pronounce my name, and then what he or she has done is written it with a different, but hasn't actually sounded it out. So I'm still a bit confused. Cheuckie.
That's phonetically.
Cheuckie, I presume. Yeah. Cheuckie.
Yeah, Cheuckie.
Cheuckie. I hope that's right, Cheuckie. It's the name of a horse I ride regularly. Cheuckie, lovely.
It's a nice name.
It's a nice name. Give him a sugar lump from us. Sorry, settle down, Nick. Tonight's sit goes extremely long, and I felt the bubble lasted forever. It did. Mind you, I played the charity rebuy tournament on Friday night, and the bubble lasted 30 minutes. Well, it felt that long anyway. It's a long, tense affair. I finished second in the charity rebuy, which I was pleased with, considering I was initially one of the shorter stacks on the final table. I've picked up a lot from watching your show over the last few months, especially to be more aggressive. Keep up the good work. Well, that's good to hear. And Cheuckie, we enjoyed your play. I think you need to just pick your spots a little bit more carefully. I hope you're listening when we're talking about who's on the big blind and who you're stealing from. Like that move you're doing, just make sure you're picking when to do it. But nice to hear from a new emailer.
Yeah, very nice. Cheuckie. Good name. Johan passes. Oh, and I think maybe I'm going to do something with my A6. Suited. Blind, but uh-oh. No now. No chance now. So, fortunate that McTish was ahead of me instead of after me. This, of course, gets quite frustrating now.
Aces for Mr. Perfect on the aces on the button is great, isn't it? Because obviously it looks like you're stealing the blind.
It does, yes. It's great. It's a lovely place to get it.
Which is why I know some people limp in this situation. I hope Mr. Perfect doesn't, because I never understand that. Because it just looks like you're stealing. And does Hedgehopper want to play this ace-jack? He may be trapped into thinking he's got the best hand. Oh, he is. Exactly
yes.
What Mr. Perfect was trying to do with that little raise, make it look like he had not much and wanted to steal. And unlucky Hedgehopper who's run into a big, big hand.
And I think that worked extra well because of the amount of chips that Hedgehopper had. Because he felt that he was already in for...
Browning with kings on the big blind.
Yes, and I think how wonderful. I've been so glad. I'm bound to get... Look, I've only got 840 left. I'm bound to make some money here. Mr. Perfect, look, he's got A6. Go on. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, McTish, go on. Steal.
Say it isn't so.
Come on, steal. Oh. Couldn't believe it.
Your stack's worked against you there, hasn't it? Because they think... Your stack has worked against you because they think you're cool with a bigger range of hands. They think I'll call with anything. Yeah.
There's Johan. He's made the push.
And he's run into a hand, hasn't he?
He has, and he's a big push there. 1930 he's made it. So, but the thing is, he's right because look, the blinds are 163.20. There's no time now.
He can't make a normal raise, can he? To be pot committed anyway. Ben's come back to us.
We're getting a little bit here.
We are 500.
Okay,
very important,
500.
James. Very important. More important than this. $99 on the weekdays, 129 at the weekend for the Mirage. 5-4 for Browning on the button.
I decide to push. It's just that I'm on the button. I think I've got 1160. There may be some fold equity there. I don't like the fact Perfect's got quite a bit of chips. I think Kev Steele, I don't worry about him having so many because he's got someone behind him.
Well, unfortunate.
But the amount of money, each round's costing 480, so I just think position there, there's some, I can still win it anyway.
Well, it's been passed to you, hasn't it?
Sorry?
It's been passed to you, so it's an opportunity.
Yes.
You've only got 2 people to knock out.
Yeah. So it's basically, there's got to still be, I think there's still some fold equity there, just about a little, not as much as normal, because I haven't got many chips, I've got 1160, but he's still got to put in 840. So I reckon there's going to be probably about 40% of fold equity.
And the point is...
Do you think?
Yeah. And the point is that you've got to use your chips in the next 3 hands. You can't take the blinds again because you're completely impotent at that point.
That's right. Okay, I might find a better hand, but this one I've already just against the 2 people, just the people who are the blind people. So that's obviously worth something.
Yeah.
But
just to confirm, I hope you found that interesting, guys. Unfortunately, no result for you tonight, James.
I know. I've even missed the bubble. Only 5th tonight. No, gone from bubble boy to 5th. I'm going the wrong way. Such
is the variance. That's why you need a big bankroll.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to confirm, Ben is saying $99 on the weekdays, $129 Friday and Saturday at the Mirage. About a third off their normal rates.
Oh, that's for the poker rate?
Yes. You've got to play 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day?
Which would seem like 5 minutes there, because it's great. Mr. Chips has emailed in. This is the kind of email we like. He's a keen viewer.
Thanks for that, Ben, anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. He's a keen viewer, but first-time emailer. Welcome, Mr. Chips.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, he's been busy on catchphrase, hasn't he?
Okay.
And now he's freed up from doing that. He can email. I've been playing 3 years online, making a good profit almost every month. Good for you. I'm now in the middle of the worst run of luck I've ever seen. It isn't so. I play mainly sit and goes. Out of the last 30 I played, I've only finished in the money twice. That's horrible. Normally I make the money 7 out of 10 times. I don't want to sound sorry for myself, but in 20 of the sit and goes, I've put my chips in when I'm 70%, 30% favourite or better, and I'm getting beat. What can I do? And he goes on to lament this. I won't read it out word for word, but basically he wants some advice on what to do. He's at his wit's end, it sounds like, actually. Must be. He's emailed in. We'll do our best. Let's throw it to James and see what you can make of this horrible situation, James.
Right. The first thing is thanks very much for this email, because this is a very important email, because it actually is a perfect example of someone who has been continuously a winner, which is you, and you've now hit this where you've only hit the money, and let's reiterate this, twice out of 30 tournaments. Now that should be shouting out to everyone why we need this big bankroll, because these things can happen even to a winning player. Now he's been winning for 3 years. This is a long enough trial. He is a winning player, but you can still have this run. Now the most important thing for you is there's nothing you can do to suddenly, you can't make it change. The one thing is to make sure that you don't let these results make you change. You still have to be the player you were before. You still have to be making all the correct decisions, and you must not start thinking that you're the unluckiest person in the world. Just take every decision as you normally would take it, and make your clear-headed judgment and make the play. Do not let this affect you. Forget about it. Don't go on about it. Take this next sit and go you play as just like the one you played 2 years ago, and think of it just like that.
I would also suggest something very similar happened to me at the beginning of this year. It's hard to know, but I suspect the first 3 months of this year was my worst run of statistically.
Yeah, I
had a really bad run. And I did what I advocate people doing, which I took a break. I didn't play any poker for 2 or 3 weeks, which is a long time for me. And I would advocate you do the same, just because it sounds like mentally you're not in the right place. Obviously you're a winning player and you sound like a rational player. You know, you're not blaming X and Y, you know you're on a bad run. I think taking a break from it is, and then resume with the attitude that James has said. And when you take the break, be honest with yourself about how you're playing, because often when we're in a losing run, we start playing differently, and that can make it worse.
That's what I worry about.
Lots of emails in the last hour, guys. I promise that. Final multi-table tournament as well. We'll be back very, very soon. Welcome back to Monday morning, was Sunday evening's Poker Night Live. How are you doing? One more hour to go, and then I'm afraid you really have to contemplate work tomorrow.
What time is it in Vegas now?
poker time.
Poker time.
Wish you could have been with us in the break. James was telling me about when he scored in Vegas. Sex-wise. Oh, yeah.
Football.
Football. Lots of emails to get through, so let's do a few. Ben emailed in, who's been kind enough to give us Mirage room rates. He also had a serious point to make.
Okay.
About bankrolls, which we've been talking about quite a lot. He says, in regard to playing with bankrolls, I slightly disagree with you in that the ideal size of your bankroll is relative not just to the size of your game, but also to the style in which you play. The more often you push small edges, calling situations where you only have a small edge, the more variance you will encounter in your bankroll, and the larger it needs to be. I almost said bonkroll then, which is something altogether different. Playing with a small stack reduces... I don't even know what it is. Playing with a small stack reduces the implied odds your opponents can get from you. One of the results of this is a reduction in the number of swings in your bankroll. I wouldn't go as far as to say you only need half the accepted bankroll to play short stacks, but you probably do need slightly less. I'm sure I understand your logic there, Ben. And when I don't understand something, what I do is I ask James to explain it to me.
Has he finished reading it?
I've finished reading it because that's all he's written.
Oh, okay, fine. Yes, I think we just touched this slightly before. I don't fully agree with you there, Ben, because the very fact is, I touched on before, is a larger stack has more chance of actually protecting his hand for a start. So therefore, he can protect against losing all his chips. Whereas the smaller stack, once he gets involved in the pot, is more likely to probably have to commit all his chips. And obviously the more times that you go to showdowns, even in a cash game, obviously the more open you are for fluctuations and the more chances you have of actually losing chips. So although you're not losing as many because it's perhaps a half a stack, you're more likely, I think the number of times you lose all your stack will be increased. Regarding pushing small edges, yes, definitely if you push small edges, this is a reason to have a bigger bankroll. When I'm stating 40 times the big bankroll, I'm suggesting a bankroll size which will actually give you the capability to vary your play, to be able to play all different styles of play, to be able to make moves in late position, perhaps raise it up sometimes with 5-6 suited or whatever to get a funny hand to try and capture a big pot, to be able to look up your small pairs, trying to click sets in the no-limit cash games. Any plays you want. So therefore the big bankroll will give you the full option of plays.
I understand that. I sort of query whether you can quantify the way you're playing to that degree that Ben's suggesting and choose your bankroll accordingly. I think that's getting quite nebulous.
And you'd be rather stilted in your play.
And how do you know what edges you're pushing? I think it's better just to play in a game where you don't have to worry about that sort of thing because you've got enough money. I think that's the answer to this.
And that's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. But yeah, I don't know, Ben. Interesting. Kyle has emailed us. Thanks for this, Kyle. Another interesting question. We had some great emails tonight. Thank you, guys. He's saying that we had an email earlier when someone decided to cash in the seat won through a satellite because the 5,000 field was too big to really consider having a decent chance of winning it.
Robin Joanne, I believe.
Robin Joanne. My question is that as the World Series of Poker is nearing the 10,000 mark with every year that goes by, why would people risk $10,000 when, for example, only the top 500 get paid? Even if they make the money, their profit margin is not that great. So why do people continue to enter an ever-growing tournament with their chances of winning and risk $10,000? The professionals seem to love these massive field tournaments and criticise the layout and style of the six-seater shootout tournaments that are often on TV. I'm not sure they do that. They definitely love the big field tournaments in some ways. Here's the thing, Carl. The bigger the field, with players that are worse than you, the bigger your expectation, because you've got more players that are worse than you. You dilute the number of players that are better than you, if there are any. In an ideal tournament, there wouldn't be, obviously. So there's what we call dead money, and that works in your favour. The problem is that the numbers are now so huge that expectation is sufferance to huge variance, because the fields are so big. You could play in these fields and be the best player in these tournaments and go scores of tournaments without winning one. I saw an estimate that somebody made the other day, which was purely plucked out of thin air, but said, let's assume Phil Ivey's the best tournament player in the world at the moment. they would lay a price of 500 to 1 on him winning the World Series. Well, I don't think there's ever been a 500 to 1 winner of a British horse race. I think I'm right in saying that. I think the biggest price winner is 250 to 1. So that shows you what a big price that is. So yeah, it is very random with these big fields. Why would anyone pay $10,000 to enter? They see it as a positive expectation. They've got the money and they want to play in the World Series of Poker, I guess. They want the chance to be world champion, although that's now a bit debatable, I guess.
I mean, the indication is actually a lot of the pro players, I've been speaking to quite a few of my friends who are going to Vegas, and a lot of them are going to be actually probably concentrating on some of the other events more than the World Series. They're then, depending on how they do in those events, might then say, okay, I'm in really great form, I'm going to play it anyway. But their priority is probably to play some of the smaller field events, bracelet events, but maybe playing the 5,000 no limit, or the 3,000 no limit, etc., etc. So, and quite a few of them are not as keen on the World Series as before. What's going to keep the numbers bumped up, of course, is because it's the internet sites are producing all these satellites and different events to win a seat. And it's not only a seat, they're actually creating a package where you probably get your entry into the World Series, your flight and accommodation, and maybe even another event chucked in. And this is a package which you can't cash in. You have to use it. So therefore, if you win one of those, okay, fantastic. This is your little bit of dream. And listen, somewhere along the line, I haven't played the World Series yet. Somewhere in my lifetime, I would like to play in it just to experience it. As a poker player, I feel I'd just like to experience it at least once in my life. But it's a bit of a dream. But regarding bankroll requirements, with most people, it would be far better for them to capture that $10,000 and then just keep on playing maybe the next level. That would get them up to the next level. In the long run, they would have a far more expectation of making money that way than the expectation they would have trying for this dream in the World Series.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Interesting topic. If you've got any thoughts, we have still got just under an hour. poker@pokernightllive.co.uk is the address. Complete change of pace, James. This is about cards. Wayne Wallace says, "Hi Nick and James, very good show as usual. Thank you, mate. What I want to know is what should I do when I've got Ace Queen pre-flop and somebody raises in front of me. I find when I'm call I'm beaten, so is it best to muck this hand? Is that the correct play?" Well, Wayne, the trouble is that you can't really give hard and fast rules, because there are situations where, say, late in a tournament, blinds are big compared to your stack, when you may well decide to play that hand. In general, I would suggest, very, very general terms, if somebody raises in front of you, Ace Queen is probably not a hand you want to play, because the likelihood is that you're behind the original raiser. But that's not always the case. Say if somebody raises in late position, you've got Ace Queen in the big blind, well then there's a very good chance that you're ahead of them, because they might be playing their position and trying to steal the blinds. So what I would say to you, Wayne, is get away from thinking about specific hands and cards and think about situations, and put all of the different factors like the player, the stack size, his image, your image, the situation, your relative positions, put all of those into your thinking before you decide what to do with any specific hand. Okay?
I agree with what Nick said there. I mean, definitely you look at the individual who's making the raise. That could influence your decision quite a lot. But if you want to put it in a little nutshell, I would say with Ace Queen, I'd be far more likely to want to raise with it than to call with it.
Cool, thank you so much for the email tonight, guys. It's been a great response. Not enough about Vegas, you've still got a chance to get one in. We're going to go to our multi-table tournament, which we saw the bit of the rebuy period of, and now it's the final table. And actually, the end of the final table.
Wow.
Just to update you,
have we got any details of the cash?
It's all on your system, James. If you'd like to, you want me to?
Yeah, I want you to do it. You're the email king.
I don't think I'm the king of anything, am I?
You click around there faster than anyone.
King of my own kitchen. We have got $459 first prize.
Tasty.
Very nice for a $10 entry fee theoretically, although it's a rebuy, so I guess most players will have pumped up their stack.
Total chips?
Well, there's 211,000 total chips, James.
Oh, thank you very
And joining us on the final table, but not quite making the TV stages. Sorry, guys, we've had a busy show tonight, only the late stages. 10th was the Hacksman, 9th was Tony Harmon, 8th was Begonia, 7th was friend of the show, Buffy Be Good. How are you, Buffy? 6th was Quite Tight, and 5th was Sparky Brown. 4th was E-Razor, who was erased just before we came onto the final table.
Ooh.
Blinds are 1,500 and 3,000, so plenty of play left for these guys if they want it, or they may play fast and it could all be over quick. Can I just say, James?
Yes.
I love final tables. I like watching on Poker Night Live, but my favourite thing in poker is to play a final table. And it's not just because, obviously, I'm in the money and I've got a chance at more money. Just from a playing point of view, I love the amount of thought and the amount of playing the player and the amount of tension in every decision and the way it affects some people, and I love a live final table.
Oh, it is. It's great. It's tense. It's exciting, but slightly ironical because at that stage there's probably not so much play on the final table.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be nice if it was a final table with a bit of play in it.
Yeah, that would be the perfect.
That's the perfect. I just like the test of you as a poker player, of your character, as to whether you can read the situations right and be brave and that kind of deal.
I've actually started to try and get a new mindset on the different stages of the tournament, and I'm actually looking, because when you play poker, you look to see if there's somewhere where you can have an advantage over the other players.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think it's important to see that stage where you don't have much play and where you really have to say, now the blinds are so big, I really have to turn up the volume here. I've really got to start pushing, and change gears dramatically. And if you look around the final table and see you're at the table where there's quite a few people there who are more likely wanting to be hanging on, I think, personally, I've noticed my own game, I've sharpened that part of my game up where then I will change gear then, and I'll be preempting their play with my play.
Yeah.
And be not frightened to exit, but not frightened to capture these big blinds, because the whole situation can change so quickly, especially when it gets horrifically fast.
Yeah. Well, this is a very interesting tournament because the three stacks are all competitive after Angelo won that last hand.
And we've given this tournament credit before, and I give it a game because there is actually play for these guys.
Yeah, there is. I wish that they'd... Are you familiar, because I'm not really familiar with the workings of it, are you familiar with the tiers tournament structure? I don't know what it stands for.
The tiers, or do you mean a ladder?
No, it's actually called TEARS.
No.
It looked like it was going to catch on about 4 years ago, and it seems to have just faded completely. And basically, it was a software program which figured out, you put into it how many players you had, etc., etc.
Okay.
And what it did was it produced a blind structure that was flatter towards the end.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't aware of the type.
Is
it
it tiers?
It might be, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, but it hasn't caught on. Doesn't seem to have done. And that's the one thing about tournament poker. I do think that there should be, just to spell out the point, James, there should be more time at the end of the tournament, because when you get down to the last couple of tables, you should be rewarded. You've waded through a lot of the opposition, and in a lot of tournaments, both online and live, this is the point of the tournament which is most down to luck, because the blinds become so big compared to the stacks, and it should be the point at which is least down to luck, because you should be rewarded for your progress in the tournament, I think.
I mean, I agree with you, and that would be the perfect world. But however, when we are looking, and this is the problem, when we're looking, say, at
this is an interesting one. I'm sorry, mate.
It's okay.
Angelo could get trapped here if he thinks Pulsar doesn't have an ace.
And it seems like that might be the case. But he's only bet 3 there.
He hasn't even given himself a chance to win a decent pot. Well, he's got a decent pot, obviously, but he could have risked a bit more, I think. Sorry.
The problem is on a nightly tournament,
yeah,
there's people playing this tournament. A lot of the people are going to have to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And also the casino putting on the tournament have the problem that the tournament is taking up staff dealing the game, and also they would like the customers to either go and play in a cash game, where they'd be paying some session charges, or go and play on the tables, or go in to the bar, or eat, or whatever. So they do want it wound up. They don't want this tournament going right to the edge. Because if people are working, they don't want to be... The casino's open till 6 o'clock in the morning, probably. Well, people working don't want to be there till 6, because they might be getting up at 9.
Yeah.
So the problem is it's the finishing time that is important for them. And they really would like the tournament to finish probably around about 3:30.
Couple of decent hands, three-handed here. I wonder if either of them will be putting them down.
Small raise from the queens.
Does Mr. Echo smell a rat? Nope. Over the top.
Doesn't smell anything. And has now got re-raised again. Now, he's got enough chips, he could just put this down now.
He could.
And now he's drawing. He's just purely drawing, and he was like 2-1 against to see anything he liked.
Well, the problem...
And it mightn't even be good
Well,
enough.
this is it. That's the problem, isn't it?
So
how does he know that Pulsar could easily play an ace-king just as he's played these
Exactly.
queens?
So when we're looking at that, he's 2-1 against that he's going to have anything. It's 66% of the time he doesn't see anything he likes. So that's a nightmare. And then even when he sees something he likes, it might be good anyway. So therefore, it's not. He doesn't even have 33% there. Probably half the time. I mean, and if the guy's got, I said, even if the guy's got a pair, which he has here, an overpair there, of course, he's now really got only the 3 simple outs of the aces now.
Yeah.
He's a big dog to hit.
Yeah.
So, and I think he had enough chips to be able to get away from it. He had enough chips that he was able to do the raises back and forward.
Well, he'd asked the question, have you got a real hand?
Yeah,
You're trying to steal
and he
my
got the
blinds.
answer.
He got the answer.
Yeah.
Well, he makes a big move here to re-steal and is successful. Angelo, the pressure is really on.
And
or Angel 01, actually. It's not Angelo, is it?
we must not be frightened of passing what might be the winning hand. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that is only one hand out of this thing I was talking about at the beginning of the show, the long run, the long distance. And we're seeing your decisions over 1,000 times. When we just look at this decision as one hand, you passed. Oh, you were winning. You made a mistake. Well spotted. Correct. I did make a mistake, but I felt that when this person does a re-raise to me, more times than not, I'm in bad shape, and that's why I passed. And that's still the right poker decision.
Well, Angel's going to have to win a 50-50 here. And looks like
It's like it's curtains.
may. No, she
Oh.
said.
The jack had the jacks. Beg your pardon, didn't spot the jack. Sorry. Jack and the flop. Was never in trouble. Mr. Echo has now raised. Oh, how cruel is that?
Well, Mr. Echo's made a couple of all-in moves while we've been watching. I hope he doesn't make one here, because
Well,
no, sensibly just makes a standard bet.
and Pulsar,
Well, he could afford to call here and try and trap, can't he?
I'm surprised at that. I
Yeah,
think
me
he had
too.
enough chips.
Yeah.
If it goes wrong, it doesn't. He's still fine. But this is his chance where he can just finish off.
It is, and it's very unlikely to go wrong. That's a massive hand. Three-handed.
Wow, he's finding some cards here, isn't he? Got the kings and hit the king on the flop.
Yeah, but this one obviously is a much worse situation. He's, you know.
Mind you, this is fine to slow play this as well.
It is. It's just interesting
Rainbow
how
flop.
he did let Mr. Echo off the hook there, and that could come back to haunt him.
No, he couldn't resist putting the small bet in. But he's in great shape. Can't argue with that. He's got 156,000, so well done, Pulsar. And Angel, the blinds are 103,000. Clicks that all-in button.
Just to remind you, they're playing for $459 for first place, $306 for second, and $191 for third. So quite a big difference between third and first. $260 odd between third and first. Pulsar was a big chip lead, but if you've watched one of these final stages of my table tournament before on the show, you will know that it can all change very quickly. And Hold'em is a fast and fickle mistress.
Certainly is.
Constantly refuses to come to heel.
Poetic.
Thanks. Well, just a bit creepy, really. As Pulsar, I want to see a flop with this Jack 9. He does. And nice flop for Angel. Pretty confident about having the best hand here, I'd have thought. Wins a pot and the pressure's on Mr. Echo. Only 7 times the big blind, 3-handed is not too much.
Mr. Echo is the one in trouble. Not much play. And is Angel going to... No. Happy to get the blinds. And correctly passed, I believe. I'd rather keep the chips, as I said before, for one good punch. And that might be the one to have a good punch with.
Yeah.
But unfortunately...
Well, somebody might raise, yeah.
Ah, yes. Well, now just slow play it. You need to get the chips now. Just call. If he beats you, unlucky. And this is a mistake I think we're seeing here. You're not... You've got to take a risk now. Why? Because you just need to get chips. This is not the time to say, well, I'll protect my life. With more chips, say, okay, I'll take it down now. This is not the case. You are now desperate. Slow play it, do whatever you can. You need to get chips. The guy's already done what you want. He's tried he's made a move on you. Fantastic. Reluctantly call it. And leave the door open for him to make another move if he hasn't got a hand. It's the only way you can get... You can't get chips off someone if they haven't got a hand if you bet. That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when... Okay, we know it's risky. We know the guy maybe's already got a pair and he makes 2 pair. Unlucky, but you weren't in great shape anyway because you only had 18,000 chips and your equity in the tournament is already quite small, so you haven't lost so much. But if you now double your stack, all of a sudden you've got a feasible chance of winning the tournament again.
You have, and the more we watch, the bigger Pulsar's lead gets. 174,000 now, 211,000 in play.
And he's quite happy.
He doesn't need to do anything, does he? If he doesn't want to. Eventually, the other two must play a hand together. But he's got involved here.
Well, he's desperate to try and make a move, but he's looking at how many chips Angel's got left and thinks, well, he might just call. He might have a hand. So.
I do think it's a situation where Pulsar can just put it on post and fold, frankly.
I think he should still look for just the opportunity to capture. I think capture blinds as well, though. Put the pressure on. He's decided to take on Mr. Echo.
You see, this is the kind of move that I wouldn't make.
Because you know he's going to be called.
Well, you're 50-50 to double him up. I mean,
up and down straight.
He may well knock him out, which is great.
Yeah.
But let's not play results. I think tactically, I just wouldn't do it. Because my advantage is so big, and I know that the other two eventually must play a hand together. Okay. It's going to take a long time for the blinds to change the situation. I'm going to ask
you a question. What pair would you, or what hand would you do it with?
Queens, kings, and aces. I'd play.
Right.
Everything else would go in the muck. Because I don't want to play.
What about ace king suited?
No, I don't want to play a 50-50 shot against maybe ace king suited.
Because you're never going to be too wrong. That's what I mean.
No, you're never going to be too wrong.
And you might be right on this. He will be doing it with his ace, queen, and ace.
I know, but I'd rather take a view that had nothing to do with the cards. That is tactically, I've got myself into exactly the right position. If I do nothing, I'm going to play the heads up with a 2-to-1 chip advantage.
Yes.
So improving that is at the margins, really. And if I play hands with them, I'm giving them a chance to affect my expectation massively by doubling them up. So I only want to play a hand with an edge when I've got that many chips. But I completely accept there's other big hand here.
And I think actually, all right, I think actually you're right, because if you're the massive stack there, and the blinds are quite expensive,
Yeah.
as they are now, they're obviously horrific blinds for the short stacks. So basically, if you're the big stack, you say this is super tax going on here. They can't stand this.
Yeah.
And so now you could just let them. And when you see weakness, though, I think if all of a sudden if you do see a bit of weakness, I think every now and again
If you can make some easy chips,
Yes,
that's different.
yeah.
I'm talking about confrontations pre-flop.
then
is
wait
what I don't want.
wait for a sort of a chunky hand to say, okay, you've got about the right size stack. I'll fight you with this
Yeah.
one.
It happened in the commentators tournament actually when I had the chips, and it didn't work out this way in the end because eventually I ended up playing a hand with you, so I got dealt queens. But I had enough chips for the heads up, I thought, and I didn't want one of you two to double up against me.
Yes.
Because that would put me back in the mix.
Yes.
And it would, be make it much more competitive. I wanted you two to play a hand against each other. Well, we've got a competitive situation here. Angel has moved up his stack or her stack, and we might see the chips go in here depending on how these players like to play.
And that looks like magic. Oh, and Angel's made the move.
Well, Pulsar should definitely just call.
And
Oh,
again,
that's a funny move.
suppose he thinks it's a little bit.
You can't lose this pot heads up. You'd be so unlucky to lose heads up in that situation.
You would be.
You let him or her bluff at it as much as they want. Can you remember the name of the player that finished third? I feel bad, like I was Echo or something like that. Mr. Echo, Dr. Echo, something like that. Apologies for not remembering your name exactly. Finished third with $191. Great result. $10 rebuy. Mr. Echo it was. Well played to you. Heads up for the money here.
I thought I'd heard his name twice. Pair of tens for Pulsar.
Top pair is a good hand heads up, of
Middle
course.
pin. Floating around there for Angel. Nina. But no, he doesn't try. Pops in a small raise. Good enough. Ooh, adventurous. But could well get the chips, I think.
Yeah, good fearless poker despite being the short stack, still willing to make a move. I think that's good to see. Angel's the short stack, but still has some manoeuvrability with these blinds, not completely crippled. That's quite a good flop for a pair of sixes. I think you got a bet there, haven't you?
I think so, because there hadn't been a raise. Oh, no, you could like the sixes even more now. It feels less like the ace. Definitely could bet now, and he has done.
Yeah, let Pulsar have too many cards there to improve his hand for my liking. As you said, there's no raise pre-flop. It's reasonably unlikely he has an ace, so good shot. You've got the best hand there, I think.
No one's got a club, and
Sixes
pair of
back to
sixes
back.
again.
It'll be the 6th of the 6th of the 6th soon, James. Nervous?
Oh, yes, and the film comes out on that day.
Yes.
Omen.
I can't believe people are making money out of Satanism. Disgusting, really.
Is this a remake?
Oh, look at this. 3 of a kind versus 2 pair.
Well,
Will Pulsar believe he's up against a king?
probably not.
Angelo's debating how to get the most out of this hand.
Well, there's going to be a new leader.
Could have done with a check there, I think. No, just decides to milk Pulsar.
And
Pulsar
there we
can't
are.
get away from it.
160 to 67, really reversed the situation now. Great encounter for Angel, that was.
I think Angel started this heads up with about 40,000 chips, so
He's done well.
it has done well.
Is it a remake of Omen, is it?
Yeah, which seems pointless to me. Because the original
was pretty good.
was very well done.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it, but I can't believe they'll have found a scarier little kid. Because the kid in the little one was terrifying.
No, this one, I saw a trailer. He looks pretty...
Really?
He looks scary.
All little children scare me. Especially if they're attached to a woman.
Especially if they're attached to a woman.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Probably should ignore me, viewers, at this point of the evening. We've got
they normally get unattached before you see them.
Yeah. Angel bluffed at the wrong pot there, and now we're competitive again. Pulsar made a good call with second pair.
Neck and neck.
They've both played this heads up reasonably well. There's been some good play here. And they're playing for about $150, give or take the odd dollar. $306 for second and $4.59 for first.
That's quite a sizable difference in a $10 tournament.
It really is, yeah. Well, Pulsar's got a full house, and he'll be praying that Angel's got something, but unfortunately that's not the case.
Not a jot.
Well, they might call with Queen High. No.
No. He didn't fancy that. Well, I just put that down, and he does too. Small blind out of position. I think you can pass quite a few of these actually, especially with the blinds the size they are. I personally would be wanting to make more raises with position and out of position, to tell the truth. And your Angel's just now been non-stop aggressive.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness, and he's been called by Pulsar just on a draw, really, for a flush, a small flush.
Well, Pulsar might take this pot away now.
Wow,
No.
yeah, I think...
Angel should bet here.
And he does. Now Pulsar can't do anything.
Yeah, Pulsar missed a bet on the turn there.
He did.
I think.
Now, is he going to try aggressive play? No, he doesn't. Ah, that's a bit better hand than the small blind. Heads up. Ace Jack. And he's hit the Jack. Second pair. Deliberates and bets 8,000.
Well, they're neck and neck. Almost
Again?
identical
Oh, that's
stacks.
amazing, that is, isn't it?
Mm.
Absolutely incredible.
After however many hours of play it is, must be about 4 hours of play.
And Pulsar's got the Jack, second pair.
Check raise, surely.
Mind you, there's 40,000 in the middle.
Yeah, it's danger for both players, isn't it? I wonder if Angel will believe this or not.
Bet half the pot. And he's been
Angel
raised.
doesn't believe it. Well, now what does Pulsar think? Because
We'd call it.
I don't think either of them likes this situation, you know.
No.
Well,
Wow.
that is a brave
Oh, and he's
bet
called
and
it.
a great call. And that's
Unbelievable.
basically the end of the tournament.
So he believed he was there all along with second pair. Well, second pair, of course, heads up is pretty strong, very strong.
It's either a great call or a mad call because Angel showed strength all the
Angel-
way through.
Represented a big hand all the way through it. Quite incredible.
Maybe Angel's aggression throughout the heads up counted against him there, and,
Yeah.
and Pulsar thought, I'm not having this anymore.
Yeah. Probably thought you can't have had that many hands, you've been overly aggressive, you're really just trying to push me all the time. if I have any semblance of a hand, I'm going to catch you.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably premeditated by Pulsar, but it was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Well, that's the tournament, I'm afraid.
Yes, it's a straight 8, 9, 10 Jack Queen. This was a really exciting heads-up battle between Angel, who came second, and Pulsar, who was our eventual winner. We had that amazing hand there, which was Angel. I can't really fault him with his play there. He really played the ace-king as if he had a made hand. Every bet fit the bill. And Pulsar somehow just did not believe it. He had this faith in his second pair. He did an amazing call after all that betting. And because of that, I think we've got to say, well done, and a well-deserved winner in the end.
I think he'd taken a view, hadn't he, earlier in the hand? He'd taken a view that his second pair was the best hand,
yes,
and he was going to back that up.
I mean, just to put into perspective, second pair heads up is pretty good. This is a very strong hand.
Yeah.
And once you've hit the flop, and you've only got one opponent, of course, it's harder for him to hit the flop.
Yeah.
So,
very true.
And that's what we've got to remember, because we see lots of strange things in poker, but the strange things we see is when there's multiple hands. So because we don't watch the heads up so much, we just got to think exactly how that mathematics is affected.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that was it. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good. Exciting finish. We are going to go to a cash game for the last bit of the show.
Okay. A little bit of a
just
change.
to ease you into your Monday, and what will be a phenomenal week for you all, I'm sure.
Tragic Trev. Hi, Tragic Trev. You actually sent me a very late email last night. I didn't see it until I got in today, but thanks. Ace Queen's got the second pair, but Duke is king. Has hit the king. Ooh, and Morrison just commits the rest of his Duke's chips. Well, Duke surely now can't be passing now for 13, and we know he hasn't got a very good kicker with his king, but it's not much money to call in relation to what's in the pot. No, you just call.
See, that's one of those situations where
I'm waiting.
I think it's okay to fold.
As Duke?
Yeah. Because
yes,
you're only being a bluff at that point, aren't you? Because he's not coming over the top. You've made a sizable bet. He's not coming over the top of you.
Well,
he's only coming over the top of you either with a hand that beats you. Yeah.
But he didn't. He came over the top with a hand which was second best, as it happens. Morrison had queens. Ace queen. He'd hit the queen. Second pair he had, and he just thought the second pair was better.
What I'm saying is, that makes me look wrong.
Okay. No, I've just had to say it because people are watching.
Yeah, no, so sure. My point would be, I don't play at this level. And when I play, if somebody comes over the top of me like that, and I've got king with a bad kicker, I'm beat.
Right, but
what I'm saying is, I would need more odds from the pot. I would need very big odds from the pot.
Right. Let's put this in perspective. One, you probably wouldn't be hanging around there with your king 8 anyway, but I think the point there is he only had $11 left, which it
was only 4 to 1, wasn't it?
There was $75 in the middle.
Was there?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So it's tough for him to. It's just too much like keyhole.
No, that's fine. That's
like keyhole surgery to pass this.
Yeah, no.
And I think you might have to do a crying call.
I take it all back. I think it's perfectly obvious from the discussion that I haven't been looking at the screen enough.
So I think it's a crying call. It's a crying call he's made, and then he's had the pleasant surprise that Morrison has decided to be very aggressive with second pair.
And to make completely the opposite point to the one I started out making.
Which doesn't matter.
No. Well, I was using a very, very bad example in that hand. You're absolutely right. The phrase keyhole surgery, trying to make genius laydowns in poker is often the wrong way to go, because you cost yourself so much more money when you're wrong than you do by calling and getting right occasionally.
And that comes towards the end there, because the thing is, if we are there at the end of this encounter and there's suddenly this smallish bet on the end there, which is the rest of your chips, you should have already decided what to do with this the round before.
Yeah.
Because you know how many chips are left and you know what's likely to happen. So one should already be thinking ahead about this. It shouldn't come as a shock to you. It shouldn't be. So therefore our decisions on that next bet should already have been in our assessment of what to do.
Yeah.
We should have accounted for that already. Would you think that's right?
Yeah, I absolutely think that's right, yeah. Yeah.
Morrison, I think, from what we saw there, had a nice looking hand, seven-handed, ace-queen, very nice hand, but hit the second pair and just decided to think this was just a wonderful hand all the way, whatever was happening, and just seemed to think, remembered its pre-flop image rather than what was happening.
I think, just like we could see a hand one with 7-2, allegedly the worst hand in poker.
Also, twos are relevant because it's been counterfeited by the 4. So he's got 7s and 4s.
He's still winning.
Against nothing.
I think that's an important point you make, because I would say that, I mean, I try not to make errors when I play cash games, but a decent percentage of what I could look back on as out-and-out mistakes that I make are when I haven't noticed my opponent's stack size.
Yeah.
And I do try and notice it, but occasionally I don't, and then you can make a mistake. You can try and push them off a hand when they're obviously not going to go anywhere if you haven't seen how short they are. Or you can, I mean, that's the main one, isn't it? That you re-raise them when there's no fold equity, for example. And
it happens. Actually, I was speaking to Carlo Citroni, and he'd been playing at the Western, it was about a week or so ago, in the big event there. And he'd been playing the tournament, and he left the table, because he does have a cigarette, so he left the table to go and have a cigarette, because the table is a no-smoking table.
Yeah.
And he came back, and he ended up in this pot against someone, and he said that he made a huge error, and he was beating himself up about it for ages. He hadn't realised when he was away that this guy had actually doubled up.
Ah, right.
And he ended up, but he said, okay, put the rest of chips in, and all of a sudden he's, where did he get those from? It was more chips than he'd actually imagined. Now, he played the hand with the memory of what the guy had in front of him rather than the reality of what the guy had in front of him.
Right.
And he said he just was so annoyed with himself. He couldn't believe that he hadn't spotted this. And so that's it. And I think...
All I'd say is Phil Ivey doesn't nick off during a level of a tournament.
No, I mean, it's possible. Listen, call of nature, you might have to leave the table.
You might have to. I mean,
so,
I think without being facetious, the point is try not to.
Yes.
Try not to, because the thing about tournament poker is, if you're going to miss a few hands, you could miss your key opportunity. You could miss something like that. You should try not to, I think. I
think you're right. I think the follow-up is, if we do leave the table or whatever, then part of the procedure here should be certainly to recheck what's going on. Has there been any change in the situation since you've gone away?
Yeah.
And just recheck. But I think in any hand you play, when you're looking around, before you make your bet or whatever, you should always be surveying the stack sizes and also assessing, and especially in tournaments, you say assessing what state of mind is player 3 in, player 4 in, player 5 in. How many chips? Is he desperate? Does he look like he's looking to see if there's a seat in the cash game?
I think that's a really important point. It's a really important point that you're making, because I think people do pigeonhole their opponents, and there's some validity to that, and that players fall into predictable patterns. But players, especially in tournament poker, but also in cash, players' state of mind does change on a continual basis, and you do need to continue to update your thinking and make sure you, as much as you can, know where people are at. For example, in a cash game, if people are stuck and then they get even, they tend to tighten up massively.
Exactly.
For example.
If they're going to play another hand then, especially if it's time's getting on, you know that they're ready, they're almost thinking to get their coat and where's the car keys, and they've got out of trouble, they're happy, they're singing, they're whistling. I mean, if they now play a hand now...
That's a big hand.
For goodness sake, you're going to need a monster to be in this one. But of course that's not correct. And if we were a perfect poker player, then we would only play the cards as we would have done
on their merits,
every
single time.
And as I say to people, I try to play the last hand of the night the same way as I would play the first hand of the night. So Tragic Trev here has moved and grooved and won with the Brunson, 10 deuce. Argyle Jack limps, and we have a 5. Cat has got trips. Well, not much money going in there. You've got trips. There's only $1.75 in there. That's $1. I want to make a point here, Nick. When you have a flop like that, when you've got your trips and there's a flush draw out there, this is not a great time to slow play, because this is a good chance to get a customer.
Well, that's the key point.
This is a great time to get a customer, because the guy with 2 hearts might well be calling. And you're in a lovely, lovely situation where you've got your trips and he's got the flush draw.
And we do make this point. We see people wait until the river sometimes to put their money in with a good hand. You want to offer people a bad call when they've got a chance of improving. Players are so much more likely to put their money in when they can improve their hand. Once all the cards are out, they're much less likely to put their money in.
I'll tell you why, because it came up the other night. I was with Matt, and he said the flop came a flushy flop and trips. And he said, oh, I really hate that. He said, when I get trips. And I said, hate it. You should celebrate it. He said, what? I said, celebrate it. It's wonderful. Someone with 1 club there, or according to matching with the flop, can be your customer.
Absolutely.
I said, it's wonderful. And then I said, you can even ping your house anyway. You might even give them the flush and make the house later.
I pinged my house once.
Did you?
Took $3,000 off the value.
Oh, no good. So from then he took that away. He said, yes, I'm going to think completely different.
I want to squeeze in a quick email, James. We're almost off air. Eamon is a long-time viewer and first-time emailer. That's why I wanted to read out your email, Eamon. Welcome aboard. Email regularly from Nelfin. He's just saying about the final table and our discussion about luck being a major factor. I do agree it is, however, it's good for the game, because I believe if the luck factor is not so high, the money would go to the better players most of the time, and the amateur and intermediate players would not win as often as they do. This would be discouraging, and there'd be less money in the game for guys like you to live the champagne lifestyle with your hefty wad of winnings for the good players. I do have a champagne lifestyle. I bathe in it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the big prizes and the fact that anybody can win the big tournaments does bring people into the game.
Of course it does. I mean, and that's why games which are a mixture of luck and skill, such as poker, backgammon, etc., these are the games which do attract people, whereas a great game like chess, which is pure skill, cannot possibly attract the public, because they ain't got any chance at all.
It's also why tournament poker is, you know, destroying everything in its wake. People want to play tournaments watch show on TV, because there's a little bit more randomness in it.
And every dog can have his day.
Everybody can be a champion, even me or you. James and I are off to book our holidays to Vegas now. Thanks for all the travel tips, guys, which you didn't give. Thank you so much for all the emails. You've been fantastic tonight. Great response. Do hope you've enjoyed the show. James and I will be back soon. I'm back on Tuesday, actually. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Nick.
See you all very soon. Good night.